Because you got powerful legs. How'd you get the physique? Was it gym or how'd you get the physique?
I've always been.
She's actually not got powerful legs. Do you shower in your dressing room? Do you have a shower on the day of a fight or not? Tell us about the tattoos.
Shut the fuck up, you little prick.
But then I've got the Phoenix.
Hey, prick.
So I'll take it from Bob every day of the week.
Absolute disgrace.
That's your knowing mind.
Move him out of here, Darren.
Ricky Hatton didn't go over for his fighter because he risked getting abducted and sold into sexual
I never said that.
Both have been rape victims. I'm not watching Frank Buglioni live on Saturday night. You're out of your mind.
Jesus Christ, get yourself a life.
He's actually a priest.
Yeah.
It's because his brother John Fury eye gouged him.
What have I told you all this time? He's going to end up sucked out, fucked out, looking for a handout.
Boxing nutters messenger group. I'm gonna be the king.
J-Pump. You know what I'm saying?
Well, hello everybody and welcome to the 562nd edition of the Boxing Asylum Nuthouse podcast. I'm your host Steve Wellings and joining me on the call we have Andy Patterson and Dominic Henry going live on YouTube from 8 o'clock every Sunday evening. The ad-free Patreon RSS feed updates shortly after the show concludes. Hello to everyone listening through the week on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Sports Social and YouTube as well. Don't forget to leave a review on the podcast player of your choice. Wherever you're listening to this right now throughout the entire month of March, nothing less than 5 stars is acceptable. A bit of a wackiness and weirdness over the weekend went on. Andy was showing us a few clips there from Poland. No doubt we'll be covering that later, along with Anthony Joshua.
Boxing related, of course, Steve.
But all boxing related, well, sort of boxing related, tangential, bit of a street fight in the ring, which is what AJ-NGANNOU might turn out to be this Friday evening. We'll be watching that. We'll be previewing it a bit later on. CANELO, ducking fights, possibly. We'll be discussing that. Sam Eggington, perfect segue from AJ and CANELO, and a bit of Jake Paul as well, plus the ghost fight, the fight that never was. We will start, though, Andy, over on Top Rank ESPN from the Turning Stone Resort and Casino. Value of the Week territory. If they could keep the lights on during the undercard, they went out about 3 times, but they managed to keep it bright as they could for the main event between Otabek Kolmatov and Raymond Ford for the vacant WBA featherweight title. A very well put together card altogether, Andy. I thought it was a really good main event, almost ruined by Tim Bradley and Joe Tessitore. They were horrible all night. Not going to dwell on that, though. On to the action. 2 really skilled fighters. Kolmatov, we kind of seen him before against Thomas Patrick Ward. Probably up at the point of the stoppage at the time, I thought. Looking back on it, he was behind by a point on one card. Don Ackerman had it 105-104 to Raymond Ford. The other 2 judges, Eric Marlinsky and John McKay, had it 106-103 to Kolmatov. If he could have just stayed on his feet. I've not watched it back. Wasn't that happy with the stoppage at the time when it occurred. I'll tell you what I saw, Andy.
No, it was weird, eh?
You can tell me. What I thought was, obviously, Kolmatov was knackered. He went down. He had a knee problem, as Tim Bradley said, and he was getting literally run around the ring. He was hurt. He was fatigued. He ran for comfort. And he ran. There's only so far you can run in a ring, as you know, before you hit the ropes. And he hit the ropes. Now, he did turn his back, as people say, but I thought maybe the ropes were keeping him up. And I thought Charlie Fitch was going to initiate a count. The ropes are keeping you up. Instead, he waved it off. Kolmatov didn't mind. People on Twitter were kind of mixed on it. I don't really have a dog in the race. I don't care about either fighter particularly. More power to both of them. But I know you can't turn your back. But it just felt to me like he was running for cover. The knee went. He was absolutely done. But maybe the last 20 seconds, I thought a count was coming, Andy.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, mate, you know yourself, it was looking like he was Yeah, okay, maybe the leg was hurt, but he wasn't staggering as such. Looked like he was maybe running. His back was turned.
Mm-hmm.
The arms were down. It's like you're kind of like baiting the ref, really, to kind of like step in. And he took a shot, I think that was quite on the money. That, I don't know, it's one of them. But what I would say is it was such a good fight. I would love to see a rematch, actually. I don't know if it's maybe called for, but it was a weird stoppage. I agree with you in that regard. A lot of people were kind of pissed off the fact that it was a standing 8 count. What did you think about the first knockdown? Do you think that was a knockdown?
You know what? I can't honestly say because I haven't watched it back. Like I said, that's why I was interested on what you guys thought about the actual stoppage. I can't even remember. I suppose so. That would have been a point. Then it would have been another point, and then the scorecards would have got really interesting. So, unless anyone in the chat wants to correct me, I honestly can't even remember it. Andy, I've watched that much boxing over the weekend.
It was great, but it was great action. I mean, you got to mention like Kolotov's body shots. I really liked the way he kind of mixed it up, actually. But full credit to Ford and that. I mean, talk about having to weather rocky moments against a guy slightly bigger than you, and he was getting touched up a little bit. It showed rocky moments, as I says, but he was also showing really good defence, and that he was blocking some good shots. I really thought the corner were absolutely fantastic. I forget what his trainer's name is, but I thought he was bang on the money with everything he was telling him. He kept it short and sweet. He kept it simple. Nothing of this razzmatazz, none of this fancy talk. He just kept it simple. Tell him what he's got to do. It's a close fight. You got to go for it. You got to go for broke. You can rest tomorrow. All that. So all the right things, and I think in the end, he's basically obviously he's pulled out the bag there off those scorecards. Kept punching. I really liked his stamina actually as well, getting into the kind of championship rounds, but also as well as the fact is he got in the 11th round when he got cut on the cheekbone, and then he got cut again on the eye. He could have unravelled there because he was getting a lot of heat in that 11th round, and he held it together, and he came back in the 12th, and Kolotov just looked like he was out of gas because you could see Ford was then waving them in. Come on, let's go. You would want to have the fight in the 11th round. Where are you now? And then he's obviously stepped up the gas a little bit. It's what you live for, really, in this type of sport. But the stoppage is a bit weird for me. But as I say, you turn your back, you put your hands down. It looks like you run away from the referee. There's 3 cases that kind of like maybe baiting the ref there to kind of like stop it. And I don't know what you say, mate. I mean, what is it to be safe than late? I don't know, but it was one of those fights whereas he maybe deserved to see the final bell, but the referee doesn't to know how long's left in the clock at that point possible. What were the final 10 seconds?
There was about 20 seconds to go, and people said he should have took a knee. I don't think that kind of cognitive thinking can come in the heat of battle. I don't think he could even comprehend that, could he? Just did what his body was.
It's a close fight, mate. I mean, he's got to be thinking himself, if I take a knee, I'm potentially losing this fight here. I've got to stay on my feet. It's a close fight.
Yeah. Just another example of what Steve's saying about not thinking about taking a knee. Think about Jermaine Taylor in that last 30 seconds against Frutch. You're trying to survive. You don't. These guys, it's not going through their head to take a knee.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's in the heat of battle, Andy, isn't it? Kolmatov received a standing 8. Michael Thompson says it would have just tipped it as a win for Ford as well. These things are going through your head 100 miles a minute, aren't they? Plus you're hurt, fatigued, dehydrated.
You're thinking, man, he's going to be panicking by this point if he's going to take the count. I mean, I need to go back and watch the first one because that could have like sealed the deal. But
7 seconds left, Andy. Sorry, Cedric Sniff says that makes it more interesting then.
Because that means they heard the 10-second clapper then. You usually have that in America, don't they? But maybe the referee does. Sometimes the referee doesn't hear that because he's too focused on what's happening in the ring at that point. And as it says, you've got a fighter who looks like he's on the verge of collapse and he's running about the ring and that. You're kind of dialed in to see what he's doing. Ford, you've got him piling in behind you, trying to kind of like keep the punches moving. It's, as you say, it's a fluid situation, and it's like rapid. It's you got guys in there throwing heavy shots. It's a quick one to pull, but it's a hard one. And I say it was a hard fight for both guys. But gotta say, rematch. We'll have a rematch. Hopefully we'll get a clean ending that way. But it was a great fight.
Yeah,
that's all we can say.
It was a great fight. Will Balsden says Cole was up on my card, was uneasy, up close all night with Ford pushing him back. Yeah, I think he was as well. I thought it was Kolmatov's fight to lose. The cards would indicate that as well. Ford looked a lot better when he walked Kolmatov down. Maybe it's a confidence thing with him. I think he lasted the distance well. I think Kolmatov was going to the body early, but towards the end he neglected that and Ford started going to the body. I think as well, Kolmatov put a lot into the 11th round. He really put it on. He saw the cut appear from the head clash or the elbow, whatever it was, and he really put a lot into that 11th round. He looked like he was about to overwhelm Ford, but ultimately, I think that just knackered him out, Andy.
I was just going to say, Michael Thompson was on a wee comment here. I actually forgot about that after the fight was stopped. Remember he walked across the ring and he looked like he was still on wobbly legs at that point.
Mm-hmm.
I just see Michael Thompson mentioned it as
well. I was going to bring that up myself.
Yeah.
He says stoppage was fine, to be honest. His legs were still a bit wobbly a couple of minutes after the stoppage, and he didn't complain either. That's why I'm asking, Andy, because at the time, my initial instinct was, I'm just saying, but when things happen, and I was like, what the fuck, what's going on? What's he stopped that for? But like I said, you guys have explained it to me now, and if Michael says that's fair enough.
That's fair. I remember that now Michael mentions that, because if you've seen him, I remember walking across, and there was certainly unsteadiness there. So, yeah, well done for bringing that back up. I completely forgot about that.
Dominic, big winners in the corner. Not only Raymond Ford there, but Brian Peters was hanging around in the corner for some reason. Must have some kind of involvement in Raymond Ford. And Eddie as well. Didn't win the purse bid. Sent him over to Top Rank because he had so much faith in Ford. That's why he did that, Dominic. He sent him over because he knew he would be able to get the job done, and then he could build him up into a ticket seller. Outstanding work from Eddie here, I think.
Well, I'm glad you mentioned those things, because I just had it on the tip of my tongue. The first thing I was going to say was, I've only watched the fight about an hour ago, and the first thing I noticed at the end of the fight was Brian Peters getting in. I had to rewind it and actually and say, was that actually who I thought it was? So I was just intrigued to sort of wonder how Brian Peters has managed to inveigle his way into the sort of councils of Ford. And of course, the other thing, which I'm glad you mentioned, is Eddie not winning the purse bid. That was, I mean, I hadn't clocked it at the time when this fight was made, but the fact that Eddie, I remember Ford was at his own fighter and Eddie was his promoter, so I just twigged that Eddie must have, as per form, not won the purse bid. But now he's going to trot out his well-worn line that if you're good enough, you'll win when he sends fighters on an away card. But I have to echo what Andy was saying. It was a great fight. I mean, it was fantastic action. And also just echo again the corner work. Some of the best corner work I've seen for a long time in Ford's corner. Really,
Coach Anthony, apparently he's called
Rodriguez or something, was it?
Anthony Rodriguez. Apparently, he's had a YouTube presence in the past. Someone was saying
it was really good, I thought.
Yeah,
I thought it was, again, it was just the nature of the instructions. He was really on him, and it was as early as after the third round. I was listening to him after the end between the third and fourth round, and Kolmatov started the fight really strongly, and he was on him saying that you need to throw if you're not he's only being effective. Kolmatov's only being effective when you're not throwing.
I was basically saying you punch because he can't do it on the back foot, basically.
Yeah, no, and I thought Ford in those middle rounds, that was his best part of the fight, when he was coming forward and being proactive. And I was so impressed with his people were talking about Kolmatov's body work. I thought Ford's body work was really impressive,
especially as the fight went on, Dominic.
Yeah, and Timmy Bradley wasn't giving him. They were mentioning Kolmatov's body work, but they weren't mentioning Ford's. And the way he was finishing on that right hook to the body, whipping it in savage.
The uppercuts as well were sneaky.
Oh yeah, the left uppercut and Kolmatov's head was in the middle. Was right there for it. The one thing I'll say about Ford, I hadn't seen him fight for a good while, and the last time I had seen him fight was his early fights on the zone when he was just turned over. And the thing that I noticed the difference was how much more filled out he is. He looks, and both guys actually are huge for featherweight. Apparently Ford had a tough weight cut. It was a tough out for him on the scales, but I wouldn't be surprised if both these guys aren't too much longer for 9 stone, and we'll see them soon up at super featherweight. But I have to say I haven't enjoyed a fight for quite some time, and as I said to you earlier, Steve, well, I'm sure we'll get on to the Venado Lopez fight, but suddenly we had that great fight before Christmas, Espinosa and Ribisi. Featherweight starting to look. We've got Bruce Carrington there, on Top Rank as well. That's a fight that could be made. We've got Nick Ball, who we'll talk about, who I think can mix it with this company very, very well. I think he's capable of mixing with these guys. Suddenly we're going to see, I think, featherweight becoming one of the must-watch divisions. But yeah, I wouldn't be averse to seeing a rematch. What Andy was saying either, I wouldn't be opposed to that at all. But on the stoppage now, well, let's get on to the stoppage. When I was watching it, I say about an hour ago, and bearing in mind, I think it's always different when you know the result of the fight.
Yeah,
and you're not
that's what I'm
watching it
saying.
live.
I didn't know when I was watching at the time, so there's that kind of emotion. You don't really know what's going on at the time.
Yeah. No, I didn't have a problem with the stoppage. I thought it was legit. And the other thing, again, Charlie Fitch, I have him down as a very good ref. New
He
York
is.
referees, Harvey, Doc, Fitch, they do produce, a lot of very good referees. He was a referee for the Froch Groves rematch. You remember he didn't even allow Groves to try and beat the count. He just looked at Groves when he was crumpled on the canvas with his knee underneath him, and he just waved it off. So before the stoppage in the last round, I was thinking, when the fight was starting and they were introducing Fitch as a referee, I was saying, right, this is a good referee. Now, the other point about, turning your back, he didn't turn his back. When I always hear people saying he turned his back, you can't turn your back. Bear in mind that he didn't turn his back deliberately. He was out of control of his body at that stage.
Mhm.
It was he wasn't in control of his legs. And he was stumbling. And I always think the telltale sign is if there's not too much of a complaint from the fighter or his corner, that to me, I find that means the stoppage is okay.
There wasn't a complaint from either, was there?
There wasn't a complaint, and I'm always on the side, especially in a world championship fight. I'm always on the side of not stopping a fight. I don't mind fights at a domestic level being stopped in that sort of scenario, but generally I would always be on for stopping the fight, especially as a world title fight. I'm happy for it to go on to the edge, but last night I wouldn't have too much of a complaint, and I think earlier that round, I think Andy was talking about whether it was a knockdown. I'm correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think it was given. Fitch didn't score the first. He didn't score that as a knockdown at the beginning of that round.
The referee never scored it because it happened in the same round as the
Yes.
stoppage, didn't it?
That's right, and he didn't score it.
And I never seen a replay it because obviously the stoppage was the main thing, wasn't it? So
yes, I mean I saw it on the showed a replay of it shortly. I think the show. When did the show replay? I did see one replay of it, but it was hard to tell whether anything clean had landed. But I wouldn't. The other thing people were saying was the referee could have given it a standing 8 count instead of waving the fight off. And I think, Steve, I think you mentioned that earlier, Steve. I think there's a case for that. That would have been a middle ground. Before waving the fight off altogether, give him the benefit of the doubt because there's already been a knockdown. That's going to go down. Even if Kalmatov had made it through to the end of the fight, that's going to go down as a 10-8 round. If he gives him a standing 8 count.
Mm-hmm.
So I think there's a case that the referee could have done that. But overall, I wasn't in any way annoyed with the stoppage.
Yeah, I'm trying to work out the mathematics, but I'm not going to bother. But I'll tell you one thing, Dominic, just to close out on this. Fair play to Ford because he was very tight at the weight. He could have crumbled mentally, physically because of the weight cut. He'd been out the ring for nearly a year as well. All those combined on away turf as well, and on the guy's promotion, as we mentioned, all those factors combined for him to come back, especially after that 11th round, as I mentioned before. Kalmatov put a lot into that 11th round, which I think was his downfall in the end. He had a real second wind in the 10th, and he came on in the 11th, and that did for him. But Ford came back from all of that, and as we all saw, to stop him in the last 10 seconds or whatever it was. So all that combined, fair play to Ford, man. He showed some balls.
Plus the cuts as well. Plus the two cuts he got late in the 11th.
I thought he was really. I was really impressed with him, and I just you have to say he's from. I noticed he's from Camden, in New Jersey, and we all remember Dwight Braxton. That was another the Camden buzzsaw. So there's something from that part of New Jersey. You know, there's a tradition of fighters with guts, and I thought as well. I thought as the fight wore on, his weight of Ford's weight of shot was heavier, especially to the body. But Kolmatov, I thought he really give him his due in that 11th round. He really put a serious shift in, and I hope he can recover, because he, as someone was saying, a few minutes after the fight was ended, he was still on rubbery legs. So, yeah, a great fight and a great card. And the other thing about that venue in Verona, the Turning Stone, because it has a sort of tendency to throw up great fights. There's always seems to be really quality fights at that venue.
Yeah. Top Rank keep going back to that, don't they? It seems to be a nice little place where they're going to the Virgin hotels before, and then they did the bubble on that, and they seem to have found a little home for it for a lot of fighters.
It's a good intimate atmosphere, and I remember some of Golovkin's fights were there, the early fights when he was breaking into on the America back in 2012-13, like the Abrazado fight was there. I think the Gregor's Proxa fight was there. You sort of get good action fights at the venue, but yeah, it'd be interesting to see, what both guys go on the next.
It will indeed. We shall move on to the rest of the card as well. Luis Alberto Lopez, El Venado, Andy, going in against Raya Abe, the Japanese fighter. He was a bit up and down, no special effects, as Rob would say. These Japanese guys are absolutely tough. But Venado Lopez, he's turning into quite the fighter, really. What's going to be next for him? Who knows? But he got the job done anyway, closed the eye up, landed the shots that count. I thought this was going to be the main event originally, but then obviously Kolmatov Ford got pushed to the top status. It was a co-main event, chief support, whatever they were calling it, IBF World Featherweight title. Were you impressed with what you saw from Lopez, Andy?
Yeah, to a point, mate. What I would say is, I was maybe this. Well, obviously, AB's eye got smashed up. Remember, it was at the second round. I think it was pretty early, and it looked like it was either the front knuckle, or it looked like possibly a thumb that's been into the eye there. And you said fair play to him, but he wasn't really offering anything really back, was he? Really, Lopez was just like, he wasn't really setting up his shots. He just kind of like stepped at the distance and just throw whatever shot he wanted. To be fair, I don't know about you, but some of the ways he throws his punches sometimes, certainly the way he kind of like tries to turn the hand over, it looks a wee bit like Golovkin, the way he tries to kind of throw his shots.
Yeah, that's a good observation, actually. On his style, he has this really unorthodox style, obviously, but some people, Andy, they often paint him as a bit of a crude slugger, but I don't think that's the case. He's actually very accurate. He's quite precise to the head and to the body. He can clearly bang as well. It's an effective style. It is unorthodox, and you always think to yourself, oh, anyone with decent straight shots will be able to catch him. But so far, apart from his early losses, nobody has. I thought Abe might give him trouble, Andy, because he lost to Rubin Villa early in his career, who's quite a skilled, effective straight punching southpaw. So I thought Abe might give him a few problems. Absolutely not. Maybe it was to do with the eye, but for his style, he looks easy to catch, but people struggle to catch him.
Yeah, I mean, he was caught a couple of times, to be fair, and he can leave the chin up in the air a wee bit, and he can be a wee bit leaky down the middle, as you mentioned there, but he can, I mean, obviously when he lands, it either hurts or there's certainly causing a cumulative effect at some point. It's just the way he kind of like goes into it, though. He doesn't really, as I say, he doesn't set up any shots like jab 1-2. It'll be like, say, he'll walk in, he'll maybe try and leap in with a shot, and then start throwing shots to the body, which the left hook to the body is pretty brutal. The straight right hand, as I mentioned, he tries to throw it in a certain way, the kind of downward trajectory. So he tries to kind of bring the two front knuckles over, the strongest part of the hand, obviously, trying to really kind of get the power in there. But he's going to be a handful definitely to beat. And I was just thinking actually as well, especially at that weight, how would you even train for a fighter like that? Because there's nobody else I can think of that weight that fights in that style. There is nobody. Maybe Nick Ball, but
that's the thought I had whenever I was watching the fight. I was thinking, how do you get sparring partners for this guy? Who do you get to replicate that style?
The only person as aggressive as that is at that weight division that I can think of top of my head is Nick Ball. Lara possibly before a few years ago. Lara would have probably put in the mix here as well, but.
I would love to see if Nick Ball comes through. I mean, a fight between. See, I was thinking he takes a very good shot. You have to say, he does get hit a few times, but he also does have. Maggie Thompson said it there in the chat. He does have quite good head movement, especially after he's thrown one of those. Well, after he's leaped in with one of those combinations from afar, he ducks down low and comes out at an angle, and that happened a few times after he had thrown a combination. And but the job Abe did hit him in the 6th, 7th round with a good few shots, and none of them budged him. And I was thinking it would really be intriguing to see him in with a real bundle of strength like Ball, and to see how he would react if he takes a proper shot. But I must say I've been impressed with him every time I've seen him his last 3 or 4 fights. Me and Steve were at the Mick Conlon fight last May in Belfast. And Steve, you'll be able to say this better than me. I remember you saying on the night that as soon as he started landing with regularity in the 2nd or 3rd round of that fight, you could really feel that the shots at ringside.
You could hear them, yeah.
He's a concussive hitter, and I was impressed the way he leaps in with that right hand to the body. In the first couple of rounds last night, before the shot that injured the eye, he was having a lot of success leaping in with that right hook to the body. And it's I was watching it. The thought that occurred to me was there's very little he does that's orthodox. Most of the stuff he does is very unorthodox. But what makes him, I think, difficult to fight is the fact that he intersperses the unorthodox stuff with a sort of seasoning of stuff that's maybe more orthodox. He every so often he will throw punches that are more orthodox. He'll throw a straight right hand, then he'll come down with a left hook downstairs. So most of the stuff is very unorthodox, but what makes it really doubly difficult to fight is the fact that there's a wee sprinkling of more orthodox stuff that he throws. But I think he'll be very difficult to argue with. And I mean, a fight that I would like to see as well. There's been talk of Inoue eventually moving up to featherweight. I mean, I would be very interested to see how Inoue would go against someone like Lopez. But I mean, I was looking at him at the end of that 7th round, and he let a big the cameras went over to him, and he just let out a big scream, like as if he was letting off a bit of steam. He's a character, like he's he's like a buzzsaw of energy. I really like him, I have to say. But again, like I mean, there's a handful of fighters now, about half a dozen fighters at this weight. There's some. I mean, I would love to see a fight between Espinosa and Lopez, and that's a fight Top Rank.
Kolmatov against Lopez would be even up there as well, mate.
Exactly. I just hope Kolmatov. I just hope he's not damaged by that fight last night, because that was brutal last night. That fight.
I think they might put him in with Espinosa, because we don't really know what Espinosa's all about. I mean, he wasn't supposed to beat Ramirez, was he? Let's be honest. So unless those two rematch again, I wouldn't be surprised if they don't try to unify with him. The sad thing is obviously about the likes. Well, Lee Wood would be a good one, like a big unit who can punch. But a Brandon Figueroa, I think, would be interesting to see how Lopez copes with him. But I mean, with the way the PBC is going at the moment, Dominic, that's obviously completely. We're not going to be able to see that. So you have to look at the top rank kind of things. And then you're looking at your Ramirez's, your Espinosas. I think, to be honest with you, actually, Dominic, I was thinking about this earlier in the week, Sado that I am. And Lopez's career trajectory, I mentioned him losing to VA, lost to Montoya. He's on a hell of a run. He started out as a real upsetter, didn't he? I think it was Gabe Flores was the first time I became aware of him. Then he battered Isak Lowe. He's just continued this trend. I don't think Top Rank banked on him being an A-side at all. He keeps turning up. Keeps proving them wrong. He's turning into a Mexican star, really.
There was a headline in Boxing Scene during the week, and it just said Venado Lopez is quietly becoming a Mexican superstar. And I was thinking the same thing during the fight, what you've just said. Top Rank had him as a sort of on a retainer, as a sort of yardstick for prospects coming up. I think he was sort of, they had him as a sort of one of these guys that they throw in as a yardstick for guys coming through.
Yeah, he was an acid test for Gabe Flores, wasn't he? And then he beat the shit out of him that badly that he almost ended his career.
Yeah, and I went, before he fought Mick Conlon, I went back and watched those fights that he was sort of earmarked to lose, the ones you're talking about. And And yeah, he was expected not to win those fights, but it's a great story, I think. And the story is that he was actually a footballer. He was like playing in like the Mexican second division, and he was always getting himself into scraps. And the football club said, "Here, you need to go to the gym."
Right.
That's apparently what happened. He was
He's
a
a bit of a
footballer.
Sergio Martinez character, isn't he? Very athletic, turned from football to boxing almost.
Yeah, and you can see even going back to the way he fights, that the way he leaps in with those shots. The other thing I looked at was, as I say, Andy said it, and it's right. He did take a few shots there in the middle rounds before he was sort of getting bored, and he just wanted the. Timmy Bradley was saying why his attitude is he just wants the Abe to stand still so he can get rid of him. But I was looking at his face after he took those shots. He doesn't mark up. He has that sort of Latin, that sort of physiology that means that he's not easily marking up from taking big shots. And he, as I say, he didn't look budged by anything that was coming his way. And it's the way. Do you ever see when he's fighting? He just puts the hands down and he's just walking straight up. He walks straight up to the guy. He's got his hand. He's following them around the ring, just walking right up to them with his hands down. It must be unnerving if you're facing that. I mean, Mick, put it this way: we were at the fight. Mick didn't. He couldn't. He didn't have the it in to stand up to that sort of that weight of shot. It was. But it's the weight of the shot combined with the angles that he throws him in. I really enjoy watching him fight. I have to say. I really look forward to his fights. What about a fight between Bruce Carrington and? Bruce Carrington's a top-ranked fighter, isn't he?
He was there last night, actually.
He was ringside. That's right.
Well, that would make sense, Dominic. As in, they're always trying to bump off Lopez. Why not try and feed him to Carrington? Who wasn't it? Carrington who beat Bernard Torres, I think, last week or the week before.
Yes. It was a good knockout. It was a. I mean, they're. I actually haven't seen that fight. I know it was in a second round knockout, wasn't it?
It was fourth, I think, off the top of my head. It was a cracking finish, though.
Yeah, I saw the finish, but I must go back and watch the full fight. But I mean, yeah, that's what I'm saying. I think it'd be a. I think I would love to see him in a big fight because his corner were telling him at the end he had a great 7th round, and the corner that through the translator they were saying the fans are loving this. This is great for the fans. So that's his attitude. Like it's important to him, I think, that he's involved in attractive fights. But I'm just thinking after watching the 2 fights and great card, I was just thinking, this has suddenly become one of the most exciting divisions. I think and I think there's actually a genuine prospect more so than in other divisions of the fights actually being made. But as I think Andy's in the same boat as me. I believe Nick Ball is good. I think he's good enough to mix it at this level. Now he has
find out Friday, I suppose.
We will. But I think there's some great fights on the horizon.
Hopefully so. We'll discuss that later on. Nick Ball's going in against Ray Vargas. Anything from the undercard that took your fancy, Andy? Brian Norman Jr. He's a decent fighter. He's never really convinced me. He got dropped in the first round against Janelson Figueroa Bocachica, and then they proceeded to headbutt each other, to elbow each other. There was blood flying everywhere. The doctor did the longest check on someone's face in boxing history in the 3rd round, and then eventually they called it off. It was a bit of a messy one, this. Both of them managed to get out of there, I say unscathed, but just about with their lives.
I never caught any of the other card, mate. I'm just going through the box rec at the minute. I do know there's a guy here called what's his name? Nico Ali Walsh. I've heard of him before, actually. It's something about his granddad again, I forget.
Gary Walsh's son, I think he was. Anything from
Gary
you, Dominic? Just looking down the undercard, Rohan Palanco. He's a Gary Hyde fighter, winning against Tariq Zaina. Zaina's a real runner, so
I didn't see anything, Steve, apart from the two featherweight fights. It looked like you're saying Gary Hyde was involved. Like there's an Irish sort of sounds like there was a bit of an Irish involvement there last night. So I didn't.
Gary picks them up, doesn't he? He had a Moroccan before, and then he had Hassan and Dam. I think he was to do with Yuri Kalenga at one point. He tends to pick up these guys, Mark Heffron as well. And he's got Palanco, looks pretty decent actually. Floyd Diaz was on the undercard as well. He calls himself Cash Flow. He had an 8-round win over Edwin Rodriguez. Troy Isley knocked out Marcos Hernandez. Brandon Moore is a bit of an underwhelming heavyweight. He got a good win. Nico Ali Walsh, as Andy mentioned. And Bryce Mills, he's an exciting fighter, a bit of an Alan Babbage kind of character, comes forward, big fan base. He had a win over Gerfred Najayat, I think you call him. He thought he won the fight, but I didn't think he won it. But it's a good card, Dominic, overall, to be honest with you, from top to bottom.
Yes, looked like, I mean, just the two, it was 2 featherweight fights. I was just thinking, I like that format. You know, you've got 2 fights in the same division, both for world titles. It just worked very well. Hopefully, and Top Rank are probably the best at doing it, but yeah, it'll be very interesting to watch what way they go with all those fighters next, what way the matches work.
Yeah, James G saying Gary Hyde has had Mohammed Rabi, mainly
Moroccan,
managing his own son. Yeah, Tommy Hyde, his son's a good fighter.
Was he? Did he know? I forget. Wasn't that Olympic bronze? But it was one of the major tournaments. He medalled.
Yeah,
was it Olympics? Aye, was it?
Yeah.
Aye.
Yeah.
I think that must have been. When was that? Like Rio?
Years ago. He's left Hyde now. That's
I was waiting to say. I've only
Yeah.
heard the Rabi for long enough, mate. But I can remember him when he was in the amateurs. But I'm sure it was at the Rio Games when he signed them. After the Rio Games, so maybe even after London.
Gotta be.
Could be one of the two. London or Rio.
David Musters jumped in. He said, "Evening, lads. Quite fancy the Bold Ngannou to batter AJ. I disagree. We'll talk about that one later on. Talking of batterings, Andy, I mentioned it earlier. We can't hold off any longer. Adam Kovnacki, he's gone from 20-0 to 20-5 in quick time, man. Who would have thought getting punched in the face regularly was going to end this way? That dude is washed, and double washed.
He's only 30-40 and he's got the ailess of babyface to babyface. I tell you, coming back having that Hellenius rematch certainly kind of like put paid to him, like, to be fair. But God almighty, what's that? 5 back-to-back now he's lost. But yeah, I mean, I think he got done in inside 50 seconds. Actually, it was, people are moaning about the Kolmatov stoppage. Now, basically, Kovnacki basically took a couple of shots, sagged into the ropes really, and just took a couple of follow-ups. And the referee just stepped in and called the fight off. He's got booed out the ring basically as well. So yeah, he's what was that? 252 pounds, I think he was weighing. So he isn't really in fighting shape as such. That he does look a bit bloated. And that it was, mate. That's him back doing it domestic level in Poland, fighting for the Polish title. So if he's getting iced in 45 seconds or 50 seconds, whatever it was, and I forget who's living in one. And yeah, it's time to hang it up. Like, but the Hellenius fights have taken whatever was left of him, right, washed. Completely washed, mate. And if you seen his state of him last night in terms of his conditioning and all that type of stuff, and that uber washed.
It's never a style for longevity, is it, taking punches like that? But he was a kind of exciting, all-action little Stay Puft Marshmallow Man during his peak. But they need to cash in. I think the PBC overcooked him. Didn't he fight? I think he fought Brazil.
Spilka was going to be a good fight.
He beat Prince Charles Martin. At that time, they should have tried to cash him out against a Wilder or something, or even they should have bought him over for AJ. The fact they put him in against a big puncher like Hellenius, which in hindsight looks like a mistake. At the time, Hellenius was not a great run. He'd been stopped by Gerald Washington off the top of my head. You would have thought Kovnacki could have got past that. But that was him. He zoned out, man. He got knocked out and he never recovered. They should have cashed him out before that, I think.
Plus, as well, mate, you had that war with Chris Nips. I remember, it was an all-action fight with a lot of punches and that. So you just don't know what, and then actually after that, like literally, was it 6 months after he fought Chris Nips, he's got iced off Hellenius and then he's got beat off him again. So yeah, it's been, you probably need to see around about between the war, probably the Areola fight possibly. That's been when the slides started after that. He's just never caught a break. But yeah, he's completely done now, mate. Anything else is detrimental to his health at this point going forward.
Well, rumour has it, I've heard this afternoon or this morning that Dillian White has been licensed by the Texas Texas Commission. So Big Dill's return could be.
Wait a minute here. I mean, this guy has so much unlucky. So unlucky with these supplements. By the way, this is the 4th time he's been caught with these supplements. By the way, that's been tainted.
Big Dill against
about the
Kovnacki.
luck. My God.
Big Dill against Kovnacki, refereed by Lawrence Cole.
The ghost of Steve Smoger. What else was going on undercard, Andy? We were looking at it earlier. There was an MMA fighter doing boxing who thought he was still in MMA.
Aye, so your man, I'll just go and get his name here actually. I think I closed the card down there. Give me a second here. Aye, so it was a guy called Arthur Beziski, who is a pro fighter. I think he's like 9-0 with 6 knockouts, fighting a guy called Marcin Cianos, who apparently was some sort of MMA fighter anyway, of some sort. He has been getting lit up in this fight, decided to have a go, pick up the guy, body slam him, then drop on top of him, a couple of elbows to the face, like 3 o'clock to 9 o'clock, right across the face, forgetting where he is, and he just got basically DQ'd there in the second round after I think it was 30 seconds in the second round or whatever and that. And the real boxer's basically lying on the ground, sparked, or I think he's just selling it a wee bit and that. The next minute, as like a bucket of water or a bucket of ice comes into the ring, tossing across, misses him by a few centimetres. Absolute chaos outside and that. So Poland is a happening, like, to be fair, but it's also not just to mention it as well. It's a table event, so I'm assuming with like drinks and meals possibly as well. So yeah,
it's not like our favourite table event. Do you remember Stephen Butler, the guy who fought AJ-NGANNOU? He had a table event in Canada once, and that it kicked off at ringside, and they were throwing like buckets of champagne, these metal buckets across the ring and all.
It was the one with Spike O'Sullivan against. It was Anthony Fitzgerald.
Oh, I was at that. I'd never seen the likes of that. When the chair just missed him.
It was a stool, and you literally seen the guy who's come into TV shot as he throws it, because obviously the sheer weight of this thing, and it misses Spike by about 2 mil.
Fitz's brother, that was it.
Oh, what?
You see the legs. You just see the legs of the chair just flipping, careering through the air.
I was really excited and never seen anything like it. So funny.
The guy's he's put some mustard right on it. The guy's actually swung it like a discus. He's actually then coming through with the momentum.
Doesn't it just miss him at the last second though? It sort of careers off, doesn't it?
Swerves at the last second. I thought
it's like something
contact, man.
It's like something you would have seen at like a Riddick bullfight or something. Was that Steve? Was that the night that Matt Macklin fought Jorge
Sebastian Hyland? It was on the undercard, absolutely. And then Declan Geraghty lost to John O'Carroll after the main event.
Yeah, I remember it now.
But poor old Kovnacki. Here, Dominic, I've got it up on the screen for you here. So Dillian White cleared to resume boxing career after contaminated supplement caused positive drugs test last year. Let's have a look. So this is the line I liked here. I'm going to highlight it. Hopefully you can see it at home. It says, but White, who trained in the United States with Buddy McGirt and is licensed by the Texas Department of Licensing and Regulation, was found to have been the innocent victim of contamination of a nutritional supplement following an extensive investigation. So Dominic, as Martin from New Age Boxing said earlier, he hasn't got a British license. He's on a Portuguese license, and he's been cleared by the Texas Department of Licensing and Regulation. Man, what the fuck? Only in boxing.
Who's the expert, by the way?
No,
I mean, honestly, you're right. Only in boxing, man. Can you have something like this? I mean, I had to laugh at it. Give me a second to pull up the actual article that I was reading. I had to laugh. White, victim of contaminated substance according to investigation. Now, who was the investigating person again? Give me a second here. Because I just want to see if it was an independent person or if it was someone who was actually called in by.
Yeah, Mr. White was the victim. It says
here.
Here
It says here. So it says here. According to Sky Sports, a forensic expert concluded, my expert view is that Mr. White was the victim of a contaminated supplement that did not disclose the contaminant among its ingredients, and he did not ingest the contaminant intentionally. But doesn't he say who this guy is? So has he been brought in by Dillian White to clear himself?
He might have come from the Alicia Baumgartner school of clearing people.
So he's completely no independent then, basically.
But he's got this right, Andy. It was like Groundhog Day every day, going over it over and over. It seems to be, doesn't it, with him failing tests?
Right. The thing is, mate, he's got to check the supplements more clearly. That's 4 times he failed tests now because of it. Who's the supplement provider?
Deja Vu's no longer covers it. It's like whatever's 4 times seen or 3 times seen, or
you better watch his eggs as well, man. He doesn't want to get the corner Ben treatment now.
I will stop sharing Paul Dillian. What's going to happen then? He's not Andy. He's not going to come back.
I don't care,
on
mate.
a DAZN show, is he?
Who cares, mate? Listen, anybody worth their salt who's a real boxing man does not give a stuff about what Dillian White's doing at this point, mate. He's had his time. You know, just it's up to him if he wants to keep fighting. He take punishment and that end of the day. It's up to him. But the heavyweight division is completely washed these days. There's one fight to happen and one fight to happen only, and that's it. You got Jared Anderson getting arrested, right? You get Joseph Parker getting recycled. You got one of the cash cows of the division fighting an MMA fighter. Who else we got? Who else got iced there recently? Jared Anderson
lost to Parker.
Wilder, nothing. Absolute listless.
Joyce lost to Zhang twice.
Joyce.
Well, Jared Anderson did get iced.
Yeah.
Jared Anderson got iced by the police last night.
Well, he's lost the plot, hasn't he?
Jarrell Miller's got arrested.
Yeah.
I mean, you had who else you got?
Huey Fury's coming back though.
Aye. We'll wait for that one, mate. We'll wait for that one.
What a fucking moment to jump on the pod. Jesus Christ.
Hello.
Joe Joyce. You got your man Matt Mudoff. Remember, did he not get ice in Saudi Arabia?
Yeah.
Right, Matt Mudoff. The heavyweight division is complete trash. Otto Wallen done nothing against Joshua.
Jalalov fighting.
Who cares about what Dillian White's doing, mate? And Manny Charstow apparently is still in the WBA fold for a belt. It's washed. We don't need it.
Dillian White versus Jamie TKV, Andy.
Oh, and another thing,
mate. Ben Shalom promotion.
According to Ben Shalom, Martin Bacoli is getting ducked by the entire division. Martin Bacoli is the boogeyman, the biggest boogeyman since probably who in the heavyweight division. Oliver McCall.
I wouldn't be surprised to see White turn up on a Don King card.
Oh yeah, right, fighting Jonathan Guidry.
Don King will bring a card to El Paso or somewhere like that.
Fighting Adrian Broner. Lordy.
It'd be I don't know, man. Yeah, Dillian White, Rob, you've joined us at a good time here. Go ahead, Dominic. Sorry.
You go ahead, Rob.
Dillian White's innocent, Rob.
Yeah, I mean, look, fucking who would have foreseen that it would have been eventually come out that it was a banned supplement or a contaminated supplement, wasn't it? Well, not a banned supplement. Come on, Rob, give the guy the benefit of the doubt. Who's cleared him in this? Has this been UCAD?
Texas licensing and regulation.
So some expert. They're all experts.
I don't know, man. Like, just when you thought you'd escaped Dillian White, like you might have never had to see him again. Back he comes in time for August, for a return to the ring. Who's he going to fight? Derek Chisora. This time it's personal.
Well, he has to fight. You see, the other times it was only. Now we've got Derek Ward Chisora. Those previous times that he fought Dillian White, it was only Derek minor skirmish Chisora.
I see.
Minor altercation Chisora. You see, it's Derek Ward Chisora. You see,
Derek's spelt differently now as well. Have you noticed, Dominic? It used to be CK, now it's only K.
Yes, that's right. That's it's a different man, new man.
You should call it David Hay or something like that. David Hay probably needs some cash by this point after his triple experience.
Well, then women he probably does, yeah.
David Hay, Dillian White. I've seen stranger things happen. The last fucking, do you know what I mean? Bitcoin Rodney's over there, you know what I mean? He could fucking end up on a I don't know, like it depends on
fancy David Hay, he fancy some of that YouTube money at some point, eh? He's going to fancy some of that.
You would have thought he'd fucking, yeah. I don't know, like I think the Dillian White situation it depends. He's always been a commodity for Eddie, but in the Sky days, you know, he flips over the tables. He fucking had a go against Anthony Joshua. He used IFL to basically make himself, whether you like it, you feel it's justified or not based on his ability, but a version of a pay-per-view star. And he was on a, God knows, untold amount of pay-per-views between getting paid to fight guys like Joe Parker, Rivas, Chisora a couple of times, Pavecki, and all these fights were on pay-per-view. So at one stage he held a bit of value for Eddie Hearn. He was a commodity to him, and he was able to sell pay-per-views. I think his time has passed in that regard. I don't know if he's as much of a draw, and it seems his excellency is controlling the shake-up in the heavyweight, so it's hard to see a path for Dillian White. Having said that, if he's licensed and ready to go, you could easily see him popping up in Riyadh in one of these super fucking heavyweight battles in the desert or whatever. So
that's the thing, Rob. You know, that's what we're talking about. He's only been licensed in Texas, and the reason, based on you're just saying about turning up in the Saudis, the thing that I've wondered about is what sort of attitude do the Saudis have to licensing people who've
just made honest mistakes. What are you trying to say, Dominic?
Like Conor Benn, for example. I don't think it's coincidental that Conor Benn hasn't yet turned up on one of these Saudi shows.
Well, Miller did, didn't he? Joel Miller.
Yeah, but that was he had
Fury did.
admitted he had admitted his
Yeah, I suppose
he had served his.
that was
bond.
his first mistake.
I'm talking about guys, Steve, that haven't admitted that they haven't accepted that they failed the test.
Yeah, fair enough.
Those sort of cases that they're like, Ben's doing what Baumgartner's doing. They're sort of denying that they've been, they've basically failed the test. That's what they're doing. Or that they're saying that it's it's someone else's fault. But yeah, I don't know if the Saudis are going to be holding out too many olive branches to people who have failed tests.
Someone else's fault.
Well, Eddie washed his hands.
That sounds like Brendan Rodgers to me, by the way.
He's waiting on that one, wasn't he? It's fucking early. You're fucking shocking.
Eddie washed his hands with Billy, didn't he? He says, "Oh yeah, we spoke a couple of times, even though he'd had him on 7 pay-per-view headliners."
That's as Rob said. He served his purpose. White served his purpose. Now he's Eddie's already milked him for Eddie knows that he can afford to wash his hands of him now.
Well, Eddie made that apparent, and he's still on that one. Eddie made that apparent that at the time that basically when he popped, Eddie was like, because before it was like, what you got to understand, Cougs, is A samples and B samples and blah blah blah. And everyone was like, oh, maybe he might be innocent. And then this time he popped, and Eddie was like, listen, Dillian White looks after himself. He manages himself. I don't have fucking nothing to do with this guy. And if he's found guilty, we wait and see what happens. But if he's found guilty, he can fuck off, basically. So.
Well, he's innocent now, Rob, so he can come back again.
Yeah, I don't know if he wants him back, though, does he? It's like
he needs to learn to read, though. He needs to read the ingredients and supplements in future. I mean,
he's just going around dipping his hands in fucking contaminated supplements all over the guy. What are the chances that would happen to you twice in a lifetime after you already previously popped legitimately?
Times now, isn't it?
But feeding his dog steroids and that as well, mate, by using ungloved hands to mix it into the dog food.
Unlucky, man.
Honestly, man.
He's just a bit of a klutz.
Probably licked his fingers afterwards to wash his hands or something like that,
He's definitely not.
For his limitations, Rob was listing all the pay-per-views that he was involved in with Eddie on Sky. Like for such a limited fighter, he has earned, I think, a serious amount of dough. I mean, he's living out in Portugal. You don't do that if you're not, in swimming in a few bob. Like.
Oh yeah, he's made money, and considering he was probably fucking doped up to his eyeballs for his whole career, he's really fucking robbed the bank, hasn't he? Because if he was fucking that bad when he was fucking juiced,
it all started with AJ, didn't he? Yeah. The AJ fight, Rob, and then
No, I've said it countless times. He did brilliantly for a guy of his ability. He's a former fucking kickboxer who happened to fight AJ in the amateurs and beat him, and that's how he got his path to the check, like, because he's not considered a fucking threat or a dangerous heavyweight anywhere else in the world. And
didn't he pop Rob and that fucked up the AJ rematch? Am I saying that right?
Yeah,
that's what
that was the fourth. This is the one. This is
this from this one, right?
This is a related case. This is.
But so he popped before that and he served a ban. Then he popped after Rivas, and that was just a big misunderstanding with the dogs, where the dogs at. And now there's been another big giant misunderstanding. It's fucking. What are the chances that will happen to you two times in such a short time? I don't know.
You had the kickboxing one. You had the one very early in his career. I think that was one.
Oh, that was over the counter one, wasn't it?
Oh, he had a kickboxing one as well.
Yeah, this is his fourth one.
And then he had the one after Rivas, one he claimed for the steroids, and then the one for the AJ fight. Because maybe AJ came out and said, "Oh, I'm done with this guy. He ain't getting the payday."
Prematurely, he said, "I'm done with him." Andy, clearly, as we found out today. AJ jumped the gun a bit there. Should he need to give him a chance?
Eating his words now, I bet.
Yeah.
like that dog food, baby.
Oh dear. Rob, what did you see over the weekend?
Fuck all. What was on over the weekend? I'll tell you what I
saw.
Ray Ford, man.
Oh yeah. I saw that. That was good actually.
It was good, wasn't it?
And then I saw fucking that Maddie was over in Puerto Rico watching Jake Paul knock a guy out. He almost landed some of the shots that he knocked him out with as well.
I see that guy's an Uber driver apparently.
Well,
he dropped Jake Paul off and then got knocked out and then took him home again.
Yeah, his position is safe. I think he'll be back in the fucking Uber by tonight. He probably took the Uber back last night after the fucking knockout. And then Serrano and that. I got to be honest with you, I got wrapped up. I don't know if he's covered it yet. I got wrapped up in the Garcia Haney shenanigans. Have you been talking about that yet?
No, yeah. We'll catch up with that.
So yeah, that's all I caught up with. But I'm all in now. Like I'm fucking. Oh, I'm gone in. I didn't give a shit about this fight. Now I'm fucking invested heavily.
Floyd doing his bit to kind of shake the tree a wee bit.
Floyd fucking providing the subplot as always. Like what a fucking horrible human Floyd Mayweather must be. Think about it. Like he. It's not, and I thought for a while like maybe it's just fucking young black fighters, but it's not. It's Canelo as well. It's anybody else who's a fucking potential heir to the throne who went before him or after him. He'll find a way to disparage him. You hear him; he's fucking talked in the past so badly about fighters, about Muhammad Ali. Anytime Ali's name is mentioned, he mentions the fact that Ali didn't retire with his faculties. So that's something he has on him. So he can't be the greatest because look how he ended up. He took too much punishment. There's nothing cool with taking punishment. Robinson wouldn't have beat him, he said over the years, different times. Then he goes into the future. Like it's like any fighter that is on a trajectory, he's all over him at the start. And in the minute they become on the cusp of actually being something, he turns on him. You've seen it with Adrian Broner. You've seen it with Tank. You see it with Devin Haney, who he was working with just to fucking wind up Tank in the first place. And then now he's turned on him and start fucking providing sparring footage and stuff to Ryan Garcia. He's had fights. He had his McGregor fight on like 2 weeks before Golovkin and Canelo, I believe.
Right,
times
yeah,
he's like a fucking.
See, when Pacquiao was riding high in it, what would he do? He would always appear when like during a Pacquiao fight week about something.
Yep.
Yeah. Any reputational rival, isn't it? Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Juan
Yeah.
Manuel Marquez.
He seems to be such a fucking lonely, sad old man. And Haney called it right when he said he's a miserable old get like that doesn't want to fucking see anybody do any good. But leaking the sparring footage and giving it to Ryan Garcia. I mean, Garcia this is a separate one because Floyd is just providing the subplot here with his antics, like and the way he's carrying on. But I think the person that's coming out with the most fucking credit out of it all is Haney. Like,
yeah, I think so.
Because Haney fucking in that sparring footage, he fucking hung in there. Like he's getting tanked, but he fucking hung in there. And apparently he finished the spar and Davis quit. So
it was 8 years ago.
And he's 16.
He's 18. He's like a teenager, like
pressure cooker environment. There's no shame in that. So that footage is not humiliating him. But obviously these things are different when fellas' egos are at play and blah blah blah. And the stuff gets hyped up. And Tank is providing another subplot because he's waiting in the wings or whatever. But in terms of the fight itself, Garcia, like. There's something fucking. I said it a few weeks ago. Like he's divorcing the missus and all the next day. This fella is on the Primo Carnero. He is fucking. It's not just fucking. It's not just drinking fucking weed or whatever. Like he alleged at the press conference. He said, "Yeah, man, I drink, and I smoke weed. So what?" And I thought, so what? Like so do I. But I'm on the pod. I'm not fucking fighting for the fucking the lightweight title. You know what I mean? There's levels. Like I think he's trying too hard with the trying to be kind of. The blasé attitude. It's just a really intriguing character and case because if Ryan Garcia had had Tank's resume, he'd be the biggest thing in boxing.
I go to laugh at Haney a wee bit though when he's kind of throwing the shit or the shade at Garcia about how he's behaving and the drug taking and the alcohol and that. At the end of the day, Haney's the one who's been on social media throwing the cash about, about the bitches and the Benjamins and the jewellery and all that. I mean, that's not really promoting good things to the youth. Same with Garcia at the end of the day and that as well, I must say. But you know what I'm saying?
I get you. But I think Haney's stock is after going up a little bit. The fact that he went fucking dread to Australia twice. He lost.
In terms of fighting, he's a
fighter. He's going to fight. And Garcia is selling wolf tickets to the whole fucking world, isn't he? Like, because he retired after beating Luke Campbell, basically, because they're not buying his mental health fucking break either. Like, he basically said he gave away on himself because he's saying in the press conference after the Luke Campbell fight, he got carried away drinking and gambling. I'm sorry, like, this is not going to work out. Do you know what I mean? I'm sorry, he retired too early. Like, he retired when he was 24 and he's still a prize fighter without winning a world title. Like, he's fucking
turning into Oscar without the resume, I think, like current Oscar.
And he came into that.
There's a need there. There's a want. I don't know if it's a cry for help, but there's something.
He's addicted to the limelight. He's addicted to the limelight. He's made too much money. He's got fucking apparently like he was entitled in his. He plays the sob story about his upbringing, like all fighters and all that. Like not too many fighters had it easy coming up, but from what the Haney, he's actually they're doing a spectacular job when you're making fucking Bill Haney look good at a press conference. You're making him like a fucking voice of reason. Like you're fucking doing you got to be really fucking up some way along the way. Like, but the kind of stuff alleging that Bill Haney used to be a pimp and he got all that from Mayweather as well allegedly. But the Garcia looked visibly on something, like visibly on the come down. He was like Shane McGowan at the press conference, man. It wasn't pretty. Like it was fucking, it was one of those ones where it's cringeworthy. Like and it just.
He said his voice was affected by he was doing some promo for DAZN, and part of it was involving him screaming at the camera a couple of times, and that's apparently how he's lost his voice. Whereas Haney's are saying that it's the old chica that he's been on.
That sounds like the fucking same excuse that fellas give me at fucking 10 o'clock in the morning when I see him at fucking when I see him and I get the coffee and they're after being out all night. Oh no, man, I'm just got a bit of a cold on me here.
Here's an interesting question, Rob. If Garcia if his head was in the place where it needed to be, if he wasn't, suffering under all this chaos that's around him at the minute, do you think he would have a serious chance against Haney? Because I think even if it was the best Ryan Garcia it could possibly be, I would still be confident.
What is the best Ryan Garcia we can see?
There's the question, right?
Luke Campbell.
He's
still got dropped though.
Exactly.
That's the best he's shown, and Andy's right. He's the best. At his very best, he still had his chin hanging out in the air. Now, whether he goes from that trajectory and he learns and he starts to fucking improve and blah 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 after that, if he's like kept himself on the right path or whatever, we won't know. We'll never know. But he took 2 years off. He fucking came back to the Tank fight, which was basically a no lose fight for him because he came down to 35 for it, diminished himself. He didn't look like he took it fucking seriously. He came out and swung for the fences in the first round. He had no plan. And the thing about Garcia that's the most worrying for his career, and it's going to tell in the ring every time from here on in, is the fact that every fucking trainer he's been with says he doesn't listen. Right? So Derek James wasn't telling him to do that fucking shoulder roll the last time out. Fucking Eddie Reynoso said he doesn't listen. Canelo said he doesn't listen. He doesn't train. All these people. There's footage of him early on in the amateurs where you see it floating around on social media where he's doing a drill, and the guy on the drill is fucking telling him like, put your fucking hand back up, and he won't. He's just not. He just does his own thing. So he has too many fucking people around him. Apparently, him and the Ma call all the shots. Remember the Ma publicly renegotiating his Golden Boy contract very early in his career before he'd even won fucking 10 fights, I believe. Like they were, because they know the numbers. So to answer you, like the best version of Ryan Garcia, we don't know what it is. I fancy Haney to beat him now. But what I will say on the flip side of that is, if they'd have just padded his record, give him a fucking couple of gimme world titles, he would be the fucking face of the sport because he has it all in terms of the look, the draw, the wider appeal.
Yes.
If he'd have just done anything in the ring, he could be bigger than Canelo.
Yeah, that's interesting. That's what you were saying to me the other day, Rob. And I agree with it. And the point I would make, though, is I don't think it was Golden Boy's decision to put him in with Tank. I think he drove that decision himself. He agreed to all these conditions that Golden Boy and Hopkins were telling him not to take.
But that's why I think he went into that like he has a bit of Jack in him.
Yeah,
because he come out of that trying to save face, saying, "Oh well, Tank diminished me so much, so I wasn't at my best, so it doesn't matter." Blah blah blah. And I think he'd quit against Haney. I think Haney will make him quit, and that's fucking saying as much because Haney doesn't punch too much, but I think he'll make him jack somehow.
But the thing is, Haney looked much better than he has looked at, considering how he kind of fought at 135, sorry, and then come to 140.
If he does what he does against Prograis, he'll fucking smash him.
Looks more fresh, looks more active as such. Doesn't seem to grapple as much as well, to be fair. So
he lives the life, doesn't he?
And there's that as well. He seems to lives a clean life as such. And as I say, he's been fighting at a higher level. He's been winning at a higher level. He's been buzzed up and come through the storm at the same time. Whereas Rob just mentioned there, Garcia's jacked it when the weather started getting a wee bit too heavy for him,
Thing is, sorry, Dominic.
No, you go ahead, Steve.
I was going to say, Andy, quickly. I mentioned the comparison to Oscar De La Hoya, but
yeah.
Oscar throughout his career, not only was he achieving things, but he did a good job of keeping a lid on all the shit. Really, I know it started to sort of seep out towards the end of his career, and then we've all seen the documentary. We all know what he was hiding, but he still managed to keep that sort of facade, didn't he? That grin. And a lot of throughout his career, he was winning big fights, he was winning major world titles, and he kept a lid on a lot of the shit, the drugs, the booze, the party, and the women until after he retired.
True, but then would Oscar have been, if you maybe put Oscar into this era and that, he wouldn't have got away with any of that stuff, mate.
Exactly, there'd be phones and cameras everywhere. Yeah,
he would be, and he'd probably be. Can you imagine all that carry on after his wife and that, and the amount of women that he was apparently sleeping with? Oh my God, man.
Well, Garcia's addicted to his phone. I mean, he can't live and breathe without fetching it out every 5 seconds at every press conference or interview. He's been bought. It's a different era to us, isn't it? He's brought up on social media.
And that's what he keeps referencing internet metrics as well.
Well, that's right, because at the end of the day, before he was even it was in the world title picture as such, and that he was groomed for this moment. He was groomed to be this. He was a TikTok star. He was on Instagram. He had all these big moments, etc. Just go back to Oscar. I mean, you're right. Oscar somehow managed to compartmentalize all his issues outside of the ring, focus on the subject at hand, and even I think we'd all even agree that as great as what Oscar was and what he achieved, what could he achieve if he wasn't into all that other stuff?
And this is it. And
You
Garcia
know?
is going to show what you can't achieve when you're into all that other stuff, because you don't divorce a bitch just after having your baby the next day. That's a cokehead move. Like, he's up all night making that decision. Like, that's not one to just wake up
That's
and
going to
go
come
to the
back
hospital.
on him as well. That's going to alimony ponies coming for that one.
Oh God,
He's coming in the white horses, mate. Aye, so the alimony ponies coming in the other direction. They come and take that cash to the other.
Yeah, like it's not good, and I think he has one foot out of the sport. To be honest with you, I think he's marketing this fucking. You see him doing all the press runs. He's doing the Breakfast Club. He's doing the Ariel. He's doing all those the extra stuff.
He's going to morph into the YouTube scene, isn't he?
He's already calling out Jake Paul. You can see it. He's one foot out of the sport. Like,
tell you what, Rob's. You read what you say. I mean, if you're making Bill Haney look good at a presser, you're doing something seriously wrong. Just one other point, Steve. Rob was talking about it there before. We were talking about Ryan Garcia, about Floyd and his sort of psychopathic inability to let anyone else have the limelight. But one of the guys in the chat there said that was trying to defend Floyd. I think said he never speaks bad about Terence Crawford, but that's precisely the point, because Terence Crawford has never threatened to be that big pay-per-view star that Floyd doesn't want anyone else to be, as long as he can't be it.
Good point.
See whether he'd have something to say about Crawford if he goes up and wins at 54, because he'll talk about how he fucking beat someone else at 54 and it's that watch.
I think Crawford's still to come for him. I think it depends what Crawford does now over the next few years or so. It's make or break regarding Floyd's interest in Crawford, I think.
He knows that nobody can get to him, but Crawford's probably the type of person that he wouldn't want to say something about because he might run into him, that way.
I'd love to see it, exactly. You're right there, Rob. He's a lonely man with a fragile ego. I tweeted it out during the week. He's desperately unhappy, like.
Yeah, like, how can it, like, what's the play for him there? What does he get out of taking that away from young fighters? By the way, young fighters who all looked up to him, like Tank, fucking Haney, like all of them all looked up to him, like, and he shits on Broner. They all say the same thing about him. He gets too close to him and then he starts to get jealous of him.
To be fair, he deserved it, Broner.
Well, apparently Broner and him, their relationship became frayed. But it became frayed in the first place because Broner wanted to go home from his house. And Floyd didn't want to go home, like. And he was like, Floyd, I've been here for 6 weeks. Like, I want to fucking go home. I want to go back to Cincinnati. And he was like, no. So he had to get his fucking sneaky flight out. And then that's where fucking Floyd turned on him and all.
Floyd's like the guard. He had him locked in a dungeon.
No, I thought he was going to go P. Diddy wearing that P. Going to win a party, baby.
Oh, man, as well. You want to see? I saw some interview with Floyd where he was trying to defend. This is the thing about Floyd as well. He's for as much as he talks about his business acumen and all, he's a nitwit, like. He's a dummy, like. Did you ever hear him fucking try to answer a question? Your man said to him about the P. Diddy allegation. Well, listen, that's P. Diddy business. And first of all, I wasn't there. So P. Diddy business is P. Diddy business. But I just know if one girl was in that place, then she had a choice. And then your man was like, hold on, these allegations, I don't know if you read the deposition. These allegations are making out that people were drugged and raped, which of course is not a choice, Floyd. And Floyd's like making a face like, oh, I don't know.
He's like Eubank, isn't he?
He's a cretin. Like, I don't know. He's a tremendous fighter, but he's one of the worst humans of all time. Like,
Michael Thompson, asshole. Rob says Petty Boy Floyd.
You would say it's Petty Boy Floyd. Amazing.
What's the other one? Manchild. That's the best. MD, Manchild Floyd.
I'm Petty and the Heartbreakers. That's who he is.
He's always been that insecure. We've rained off countless times that he's came out and just basically. I mean, remember the time when Gervonta Davis was kind of like trying to break out? Remember when they did the Showtime pieces? And Floyd wouldn't even let Gervonta Davis talk. I remember
he fucking flew to England to do a fucking head-to-head with Frank Warren and fucking Lee West. He wouldn't let him fucking talk that time either.
I remember, like, one of the very first times I heard Gervonta Davis talk, I said to myself, I want to hear a wee bit more of him. He sounds quite, you want to hear a bit more of what he's got to say because he seemed to be, quite interesting, shall we say. But no, Floyd wasn't having that. Floyd had to be centerpiece here. He had to have, we're going to make smart investments, all that type of stuff.
Jumped in the ring after Battle Jack had a draw one time as well and said, don't make this all about Floyd Mayweather, judges. And everyone's like, nobody's making it about Floyd Mayweather. Battle Jack always draws. This is fucking nothing to do with you. You fucking dickhead.
I know, Rob. I know what is the only thing that can reform Floyd at this late stage and get him to be so, not be so bitter against other fighters. It's the return of Miss Jackson. That's the only.
That's the other thing. You got to look all them women, all the
All the
ones
day.
that got away from, that tried to get away from the fucking Miss Jackson, went to Nelly. Princess Love went to Ray J. Ray J was over in his house playing the piano, took his missus and fucked off. Like, it's a lot of people trying to get away from Floyd Mayweather, you know, that way.
And it's and the one thing I'll say in his defense, like, he did have a messed up childhood. Like, the way he was, I think, I'm not saying it excuses everything, but I mean, his upbringing, when you read about, being in Senior's arms when Senior was being shot at, it's a strange sort of.
Yeah, but all those fighters he's shitting on all had fucking shitty upbringings too. Like, and he's fucking.
Good point.
It's funny. Like, I was just thinking back when Floyd was saying, or Rob was saying there about the way his interviews, and I was remembering back to around the height of the Mayweather Pacquiao thing back in 2010. When the fight wasn't happening, when everyone wanted it to happen, and Floyd was saying, "Take the drug test, the money, take the drug test," and people like your man Kenny on ESPN were going at him in these interviews, and I remember it got to a stage where everyone would ask him for these media interviews about the Pacquiao fight, when's it going to happen, and I don't know if any of you remember, but he would just answer a totally different question. He would say, "The weather's lovely today. This is
a hell of a fighter. Smart investments."
Something totally unrelated to the question he'd been asked, and I suspect that it was sort of Heyman or whoever Heyman was around him, and just coaching him how to deal with these guys. He would just answer literally. He would dream up a question,
but then
he'd
crack because already the Rugged Man was on fucking satellite radio one time talking shit about him, and he fucking rang in to defend himself and told everybody that they don't know shit about boxing, who did they fight, and fucking what he earned for X fight and that fight. But yeah, I mean, like, he just can't let go, can he? Like, and then the fact that these exhibitions that he does don't draw flies, like the big Jake Paul was nothing. None of these fights.
Well, that last one, wasn't it, Rob, against that Chalmers? I mean, that was really showed that it's dead in the water, isn't it? That
and
was embarrassing for him.
Imagine him seeing it. Imagine, like, a great fighter that he was doing that. Like, do you know what I mean? Just because of his ego, he's attached to every fucking kind of, internet scam. To kind of make a few bob. He's just a fucking bizarre character. Like, what a fucking nutcase. Like,
I was mentioning it to you there, Rob, the other night. I think one of the guys said it in the pod last week or the week before. When Bivol beat Canelo, wasn't he on the internet straight away posting his betting slip saying his bet that he had on Bivol beating Canelo?
Yeah, and then really went sour on Canelo another time about posted after, about how he was easy work and all this, and fucking, everyone knows that Canelo was only a kid or whatever, and he fucking could have stopped him rightfully, but I don't know. It's a fucking straightforward, but it's making me more interested in Haney Garcia. I think Haney's gonna fucking win widely, but now I want to see fucking Haney and Tank next. Like, has to be next after all this fucking shit talk. Haney and Tank have to fight, like. Especially if Haney goes out and he beats Ryan Garcia on a big platform, big pay-per-view numbers, and the fight does well. Like, if Haney beats him and looks good, it has to be Tank next. Like,
hopefully so. Just cleaning up from the weekend, Andy, over in Puerto Rico. Jake Paul. I only saw highlights of that, to be honest. I know. Yeah. Well, I mean, I only saw not the highlights afterwards, the sort of replays and stuff. But the Serrano thing was the main one. I don't want to dig out the Nuthouse group here, but this was quite a funny one. I thought Value of the Week territory. Matty sitting there at 25-3 in the morning our time waiting for Serrano to come out. Jay puts in this, and Matty's like, "What?"
I messaged him asking, saying, "Did you get your money back?" He never responded to me. I know he's listening. Right now, but I've pieced it back a wee bit right now. For what I've been reading, or a couple of people on the forums or whatever that were saying as well. Apparently, she has went for a haircut or a hairdo before the weigh-in. Now, if you look at the weigh-in, she wore sunglasses all the way through the weigh-in, including the face-off, right? Allegedly, she went to the hairdressers, got it all tarted up, got some sort of hairspray, peroxide, whatever it is, in her hair. She's been out for a run afterwards. It's sweat. Has then ran into her eyes. Has some sort of irritation or allergic reaction, whatever it is, and they have kept it quiet apparently to try and mask or to try and save the pay-per-view. Right? Well, you heard the fans; they weren't having it. So Jake Paul decided, right, okay, you're gonna get your money back. You can't do that in Puerto Rico, man. You know, they guys will just chop you up, man, down there. Like you can't pull that stuff off. But this doesn't make her look good. Because that was a homecoming for her. But if it's true, she's had that issue for a couple of days before, or at least the day before the weigh-in, and they've kept it quiet up to, I think it was after the Jake Paul's fight, I think.
Right up until they're about to come into the ring.
Right, well, okay. I thought it was after Jake Paul had fought, then the announcement came out that she wasn't going to be fighting. And then it all went off. I was like, what the hell?
Tito Trinidad's in the ring trying to calm everybody down.
And there's Matty sitting there ringside, right, okay, we better get the first flight back to the States, man, because there's going to be carnage here at ringside.
I just found this shit out right now. I am so Maddie, I'm fucking so happy for Maddie. That's hilarious. Chicks with dig fucking flies to Puerto Rico, see a fight. The woman's not even fighting on it. Amazing. They flew to Puerto Rico to see Jake Paul. Amazing.
Only in boxing could a can of hairspray possibly end a fight like that.
That'll turn Matty into a male chauvinist, and Joe Kennedy will be left doing chick with egg on his own.
I tell you even better though. I'll tell you even better. One of the best comments I've seen of the weekend actually. So someone said Tyson Fury can't use that excuse to duck music anymore.
I'm surprised though, boys, that they told the truth basically and said that. I mean, to own stupidity, I said in the chat, I'm surprised they didn't say, oh, like a bug got in her eye or something. They literally told the truth. It was their own stupidity that the fight got cancelled.
She never took the sunglasses off, so we don't know what's happened. We don't know the extent of it. It was a dodgy response that was given in the ring. Boxing scene, I've got an article up on that. They're kind of asking, look, this came too late in the day to make an announcement, by the way. It should have been told. You know, they went through with the weigh-in and everything. She was playing the game. She made weight.
One of the boys said it was a money shot in the eye or something. You should have given the old Gabriel's.
Matty in the glory hole.
Matty did it. He'd have missed, wouldn't he?
But come on, I mean, hairspray. Seriously, hairspray. Oh, seriously.
It's up there with Slipped in the Shower, isn't it? That one with old. Who was it? Gonzalez. What was that guy called?
It was the guy who was fighting Frampton now. Alejandro Gonzalez. Did he not get murdered eventually?
No, that was a different guy.
Alejandro. It was Alejandro. What was his name, Steve?
Gonzalez, was it?
No, Gonzalez was the one he actually fought in Texas.
Gonzalez is the one who Steve Bunce told us was found in the back of a. I won't repeat.
Naked.
Oh, Gutierrez.
Oh God, what do you call that guy? Gutierrez. That's it, Gutierrez.
Had to be one of them.
I was going to say Flores.
Oh, I tell you what, I was see what up came up when I got told the news about that, the Shanko Road.
That's right, you drove, weren't you?
Don't be acting like that's a surprise. He's always up there.
You were there, Andy, weren't you?
That's right. Ken who phoned to tell me to.
I remember you having a Guinness. I remember you having your Guinness in the Europa upstairs the bar after
Ken who phoned me? A Republican phoned to tell me the news. Where are you, Andy? I'm on a Shanko.
What did he use? A code word?
Down.
Oh God. That was crazy, wasn't it?
That was a crazy weekend of that, man, because we're so annoyed. So what happened is we all just like, I think we all went off in like small groups and that. Well, she's like, okay, where are we going to go? She's like, we'll go down the Shanghai, see if there are any pubs down there, which there was. But then when because obviously Carol had missed weight, hadn't he?
Yeah.
And that's when word got out about the taxman situation, and the fight wasn't off at that point. It wasn't until like maybe 3 or 4 hours later we got word through.
That's right.
Fight was off. I'm like, what? Get back to the Europa quickly. And of course, we're into the Europa. Everybody's there. And the faces are tripping. There's like, I don't know, about 20, 30 folk in there, Dominic, at the time. Faces tripping everybody, man, at that time.
I think Carl had to be restrained from, his old man had to restrain him from trying to go for one of Barry's sons. He was going to deck one of Barry's sons, and the old man had to restrain him. But Mick McElwee was there. He remembers it well. But just actually, I'm just looking at it here now, Steve. There was a question put into the pod here about 8:20, and it was just touching on what Rob was saying about being intrigued about the King Ray and Haney fight. I'll just read the question out because I think we've more or less touched on it. But anyway, the question is anyone else comparing Garcia's meltdown to Teo Lopez, where he came out with one of his best performances against Taylor when everyone thought he was mentally gone, or is Garcia way worse?
No, because I went for that one, right? But if Garcia is pulling the fucking Kaiser Soze here. Daniel Day-Lewis has nothing on him. You might as well get him down on the fucking ground kicking a football with his left foot because he's a method actor. He's coming into the fucking thing horse, looking like he died 2 weeks ago, fucking steaming with a smell of drink off him. I don't know, man. I don't know.
I think he's turning into Teofimo, but not in the ring, but out of the ring Teofimo. By the looks of him, he's gone mad, hasn't he?
It's. I was just thinking about it earlier, and it's so hard to sort of decipher fact from fiction. There's such a circus. There's so much swirling around it. You don't know what's real.
Lopez's issues were as mental. I think Garcia is a combination, like a serious. Well, obviously they've got similar traits with the personal life a wee bit kind of like because of the misses and the kids or whatever and that. But Garcia, you start bringing in drugs and alcohol into the situation on top of that with Garcia, which we didn't seem to see with Lopez as such, or here anyway in that regard. I think Garcia's a wee bit off the kind of reservation compared to Lopez in that regard.
Someone was saying, why is Derek James getting involved with this? But
he's the trainer, isn't he?
He's the trainer, but I mean, it's the coin. Like, these guys are, it's easy money. It's a big event. He's going to get his slice. It's,
Alex Bellotti says way worse. Garcia is done, man. People don't realise what's happening, unfortunately. Lopez just has his confidence issues in himself, sporting wise. That's it.
And you could argue that.
There's the expert spoken.
Another subplot. Sorry, Dominic. Go ahead, dude. Go ahead.
No, you go ahead, Rob.
I know. I was going to say another because I'm all in now, right? So I've been watching all the promo and that. And on Ariel Helwani, who's actually, he's a good guy. I don't mind
him, by the way. I don't mind him.
He's a good lad to have interviewing boxing stars or crossover stars in America because he doesn't ask the same fucking questions that everybody with a fucking boxing media pass asks. When they're asking about the
Dana hates him as well for that.
Yeah, but he was getting some good stuff out of Haney, but he asked him about Boxercise Ben. And apparently he hasn't bombed out Boxercise Ben at all. He's still a massive part of his team. Him and Lee Wiley watch every unrivaled amount of work of tape. They watch all the sparring sessions. They come up with dossiers on everybody. And Haney was really singing fucking Boxercise Ben's praises like that last year. It was legit, but important part of his camping and him on. He was like, well, why is he not in your corner? He's like, well, they can't come over right now. Just like wonder why.
Hey, Rob. Captain Casual says Garcia's pissed he missed out on the ladies' night at the Devonish a few weeks back.
Niche
gag.
Amazing.
Is Ben's there in Saudi, isn't he?
Yeah, I don't know. Well, you can't go to America anyway because of some possible sanctions against.
Of course.
Against them.
What are you trying to insinuate, Rob?
I think it's clear as day. Haney was saying to Ariel Haney, "Shut the fuck up, man, will you?" He was like, "You can't come over if you've been over this." Like, well, yeah, why is he not in your corner? But yeah, I think guys like him are good having. Yeah, they're just fucking not asking the same shit that all the fucking boxing media ask. Like, it was some decent stuff in there. Like,
I can remember him actually, when he asks a question or whatever, he kind of then tries to kind of like push it a wee bit or kind of push for a better response. Something. I remember seeming to recall Dana White meltdown with him a couple of times, but I think Leonard Ellerby during the Mayweather McGregor fight was getting a bit kind of exasperated with him as well because of the kind of questions he was asking him. But he's different compared to the other ones. Like,
Garcia was on the Breakfast Club as well, and they kind of called him on some of his bullshit. Like, but he was. It seemed again like he was drunk. He was turned up or whatever. He's on the radio, and he was like, "Yeah, I was negotiating this fight with Devin, and I said, get off my phone, bitch." And then Charlemagne, the presenter, was like, "I don't believe he said that. Let me see your phone." And he was like, he went through a text message. Turns out he hadn't said that at all. Like, it was something similar to that. He's like, "All right, so we caught you out in lie one." That way. It's just he's not there. Like, is he? It's fucking. He hasn't got it upstairs. He's a bit like big baby Jared Anderson.
Hi.
He's coming in later. Yeah.
The Great American Hopeless.
Great American Dope. He's coming in Belly of the Week. Don't worry about that. Right, let's move on, boys.
He can come again.
He can come again, indeed. Unlike Jade. Episode 562. Rob's here, Dominic's here, Andy's here. Let's have a look through the chat quickly. Shout out to Sam Eggington. Good fight with our boss, Burrow, on Friday night. That's all we'll say about that. Alex Blotty's in the chat. Andrew Thickett, Michael Thompson, William McAllister, Johnny is with us as well. Matty was hanging around.
Alex Bellotti sounds like someone that Ozzy would be tipping for an area title, doesn't he? You seen him, Alex Bellotti?
Oh dear me. Ryan Deal sent this earlier question for the pod. Will Matty spend his Serrano refund entirely on rum or a draw parlay for the Saudi card next week?
That's cruel.
He's in the chat, is he, Matty? I see his name.
He was hanging
He
around
was
early.
there, aye. He was
Good
there.
for him.
Gamble responsibly with Matty, that's what I say. Right, let's get on to that then. Might as well chat about it. Friday evening, we might do a post-fight pod. We might not see what Mrs. Wellington is up to. Anthony Joshua against Francis Ngannou. Andy, 27-3. Joshua, 0-1 is Francis Ngannou. I think Joshua, Andy, is going to do what Fury should have done. And this is why it's such a savvy move, because they're all going to know now what Ngannou does, how he moves, what he does with his hand, what he does with his head, what he does with his feet, and they'll be ready to step on it. I'm going to go out on a limb here, Andy, and say that AJ is going to dish out some punishment on the big man. What do you think?
I've been kind of sitting on the fence with this one, mate. I suspect Joshua wins. I don't know what method. What makes me kind of a wee bit kind of, because of the way Wallen fights, that kind of counter punching style doesn't really have the dig. I understood why Joshua was more on the front foot and he was more, being more aggressive, and his power was devastating effect at that point. But I just think he might be a wee bit more kind of respectful of Ngannou, because he has got that size, and if he does feel or just step onto a shot, doesn't want to get too lackadaisical or get too slack. So I think he will show a bit of respect early doors, but I think he'll just sit on his jab, mate, to be fair. I think he'll just use that wee bit better polished boxing ability that he's got. Doesn't really need to do anything really other than that, and then just pick. Just what is it? I just want to see here, is that a 10-rounder? It's a 10-rounder, so you could easily just pick away at him possibly, and then maybe step on a wee bit and maybe drop some more right hands in behind and maybe get a late stoppage. I just think with the way Ngannou throws shots, I just think Joshua would need to be slightly wary. I mean, he's open to hooks and that as well. But interesting, but I suspect that Joshua wins. I was going to go, when I first heard the fight, I suspected Joshua was going to win by stoppage. But I think he'll try and make it, as you say, probably try and make a statement as well. So I'll maybe change it to a late stoppage, possibly.
I think Steve's still relieving himself there, so I'll.
He must really love Andy's breakdown of this fight.
It's time to get back anyway. No, well, I don't know what else I can say. Really, to be fair, I mean, again, he's getting this fight purely based off as to how bad Fury looked, right? We kind of suspect that Fury didn't take the fight seriously. Some of us think also there's a bit of wear and tear there as well. Could be a bit of clowning about as per usual with Fury and that, and he almost paid the price for it. I think Josh was going to look at it a wee bit more kind of like, okay, this guy needs to be respected a wee bit more differently, because he showed that he's a bull, like he's strong as anything. Maybe he doesn't have the tank, but if he lands, I think he could definitely buzz you up. But I just don't think he's got that. I don't think he's just got that finished product really to kind of finish Joshua off. I just don't see it. And I don't think he can sustain it for, to win what minimum 6. Well, he needs to win 6 rounds. I just don't see him winning 6 rounds possibly against Joshua to win it on points either.
Interesting comment by Andre Thicket there, Steve, in the chat.
About time. He says Ngannou will be stronger than Joshua in the clinch. I expect Joshua to win, but might be a few interesting moments. Yeah, maybe exhaustion, accumulation might catch up with Ngannou, but strength-wise, Dominic, he is a big, strong unit, isn't he? I don't think he's ever been decked in the MMA or whatever the thing is he comes from.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know anything about his MMA career. I don't follow that at all. But I mean, he is a big unit. But the one question I had in my mind there, Steve, when Andy was giving his breakdown was: is this 10 rounds or 12 rounds?
10, I think.
It's 10 rounds, aye.
Yeah, well, I think AJ, it'll either be points or an AJ stoppage in the last 2 or 3 rounds. I'm struggling to sort of get interested in it. I mean, really interested. I mean, I'm more interested in the undercard, Nick Ball's fight, but yeah, it's sort of very it's the clever move, isn't it? After Fury struggled with him, yeah, I expect AJ to win, to sort of get behind the jab, play it safe, get the earmuffs on, keep everything very simple, and just get the jab in his face.
If he gets aggressive, too aggressive, and holds his feet just a fraction too long, that's when he can get clipped. 1, 2, maybe a wee hook and spin off. That's all he's got to do. Just, as you say, keep it simple.
Yeah.
Keep it on the jab. Keep it on the jab. That's all he's got to do. Drop the right hand in there. AJ's got a good jab, by the way.
He
not
does,
saying
yeah.
great, but it's a good jab. And
Good uppercut too.
Yep, and when he lets the right hand go, he can let a lot of force behind it. He's got a decent left hook, but 3 basic shots is all he's got to do, and he wins the fight. That's all he's got to do. Keep out of trouble.
What about this for Michael Thompson, Dominic? He says AJ is incapable of using dirty tactics or any veteran moves. So it is in his interest, isn't it, to keep it at range, keep it at distance, jab away?
Yeah, I think that's a very good point, actually. You know, it's I was just actually thinking of Lennox Lewis when I was reading that comment from Michael Thompson, and you know, that is one glaring difference from someone like, you know, maybe Rob want to talk about this, but you remember Lennox Lewis's knockout of Michael Grant when he held he put his left hand on the back of Michael Grant's neck and held it in place for the big dirty uppercut to finish it. Things like that you know, real pro moves. There is that sort of naivety
Ali would do it as well with Joe Frazier to try and stop the left hook coming, and he would pull him down with the back of the head, so it would beat him off balance and he couldn't throw the left hook.
Yeah, it's I sometimes wonder, Andy, is that defect in AJ's game? Is that absence in his game? Is it some sort of consequence of the fact that the only
you saw it against Ruiz, mate? I think when you see about a guy when he's badly hurt,
yeah,
as you've seen him, he took a knee for time to time. I can recall if he took a knee in that, but you heard McCracken saying, "Look, use your jab, get out, run basically, just get out of distance." But he wasn't able to do that. He was, as the guy says, can he fight on the inside? He has got a decent uppercut, but he does that as part of his attack, really, if he's got you on the ropes. But he hasn't got that James Toney about him. You know,
or even you know, think of the fight I was talking with Steve, the fight that Steve referenced a few weeks ago, Riddick Bowe against Jorge Luis Gonzalez, and it was just another clinic of Bowe on the inside. But I was just going to reference the suggestion that you know, AJ, until relatively recently, the only gym that he's known from an amateur through to a pro was really that up with Rob McCracken up there in Sheffield, and it's not. My suspicion is that they don't really teach that sort of inside work, cute tricks. You know what I'm talking about. It's if you listen to Richie Woodall in commentary, it's that same school. It's all about the straight punching. There's very little emphasis on the bent arm shots. You know, it's all very rigid, very
The real interesting part for me would be this fight is if Ngannou, as it was you say, in the clinch. It's not so much what he can do in the clinch. It's because he has trained as an MMA fighter to actually know how to clinch someone and actually walk you back.
Yeah,
Fury was having big issues with him in that regard. I think he underestimated this how strong he was. If Joshua, you know what I'm saying, if he's able to then lean on Joshua, push him back, starts tiring Joshua out.
I think a lot will depend on. Firstly,
Dr. FMG.
I know. Learn on the job. It's a staple of Eddie's.
2-time unified champion learning on the job.
Mark Stanton, Dominic says that AJ can't hold. Look at him against Usyk. He was getting thrown around by a smaller guy. And Andrew Thickett thinks that he's going to go full Galata. Which Galata fight is he referring to?
The boys are all saying he doesn't throw punches like Rocky Marciano, but he's 18 stone. He's heavy. Do you know what I mean?
New breed of heavyweight.
Things in. I'm going to play devil's advocate here and say that Ngannou has a right chance because, and I don't know if Fury has a cast iron jaw, but he seems to have a bit of a glass head. Ngannou caught him around the side of the head, didn't he? And Wilder caught him around the side of the head that time in the first fight as well when he dropped him the first time, not the last round one. You know, maybe Ngannou lands on you, he can scramble you, but I'd be more concerned. I think AJ is more than capable of beating this guy over 10 rounds, but AJ over 10 rounds, we have to remember after what happens after 6 in every fight. he starts to blow. It doesn't matter who he's fighting, what the caliber of opponent is, whether he's in control, whether he's out of control. Once he gets past that 6-round magic number, the gas tank goes a bit, and he looks, like Dominic alluded to, he always looks discombobulated, like he doesn't have that nous to hold you. He's not going to wrap you up. He's not going to get your head in between his armpits and pull down on it and by himself timing around. He doesn't have that in him, and I think it takes more out of him because of the way he's built, and that's why he doesn't clinch. I think that's why it always suits him to keep things long. So obviously with Ben Davison, they would have done unrivaled work on the only 10 rounds available of Ngannou that there is to watch, like it's him versus Fury. And I was struggling to understand why they took this fight, because I was thinking it's just high risk, low reward. Like, but the reward is really if you fucking go out and you start Ngannou and you say, you put yourself right back in the mix for the winner of Fury Usyk, because, oh, look what I did to Ngannou, and he had you rocked. So that's going to be the story, isn't it, from Eddie Hearn once AJ is victorious, and if he does it in style, then he's right back in there in the mix for the biggest fight in the world. Like, so you would hope AJ come through for the sake of the sport, but you know the way these things go, you don't even know if they're ever going to plan out the way you want them to. But I would say, like, I'd hope AJ would win, but I definitely see danger for him here. Ngannou's a big unit. Like, I don't think you're going to be able to go out and blast him out. If he is, more credit to him, but he's a freak of nature. Like, the guy's fucking rock solid. He's fucking taking the boxing late. He's somehow got he's an MMA guy who's got fucking 2 massive paydays against the 2 biggest heavyweights in the world, 2 biggest named heavyweights in the world. Take away Usyk's fucking having the belts, he's not the same draw as Joshua and Fury, like, and he's having a fight against each of them. So whether he's there on merit or not, he's there, and I think he's going to be a bit of a problem for AJ if it gets past 6. And I could see this. I could see AJ's fucking stock plummeting if he doesn't look fucking terrific in this fight. So I hope he does it. I hope he goes out, sticks to the jab, rocks him up a little bit, maybe gets the stoppage, and finally gets this fucking Fury fight, provided Fury holds up his end of the bargain. Like,
Dominic, interesting comment from YouTube troll Matt DG here. He says Davidson has Joshua working underneath again. Fury was missing everything over the top. I think AJ stops him and creates interest in him versus Fury. Should he beat Usyk? Interesting about the underneath rather than over the top shots.
Yeah, it's. I mean, I was just looking at some of the comments in the chat there that are quite interesting, and one of the guys mentioned, again, I don't know this because I don't follow UFC, but they said Ngannou, he's never been remotely close to being stopped in the UFC. And I think, I said in my comments that I could see AJ potentially stopping him late. And I think I would sort of go back on that and say if AJ wins, it'll probably be on points. Ngannou he's you saw in the Fury fight, he didn't look remotely bothered by anything. Fury,
he's a beast, like.
He's a flipping unit, like he's. On Matty's point about what Davison's got him doing with throwing shots underneath. I mean, I think we were all agreed that Otto Wallin was very disappointing that night. It's an interesting one. My belief that AJ will win is more going based on the idea that they've seen the Fury fight and they've had the benefit of watching that, and they're not going into it totally blind.
That's what I think. Yeah, I agree.
But yeah, that's what I think.
Hi, Dr. FMG says Ngannou showed the composure that Volin couldn't. Volin's going to end up on Chicks with Dig with old Joe Kennedy, I think, if he's not careful. Michael Thompson says he's rough, tough, rugged. No better place to leave that one there. On to the undercard then. Dominic, we'll start with you. Some good fights on the undercard. I know Madrimov Kabanov's off, unfortunately. You got this beastly Ukrainian heavyweight Novitsky going in against Torres. Justice Hooney, nice step up for him against Kevin Lorena. A domestic level fair for Aussie there. Jack McGann against Lewis Green. Mark Chamberlain against Gavin Gwynn. I know you're interested in Ray Vargas, Nick Ball, WBC featherweight title, and WBO interim world heavyweight title. This is the most intriguing fight on the card for me. Zhilei Zhang against Joseph Parker. Zhang off the back of 2 wins over Joyce. Parker off the back of the win over Wilder. I'm going to hesitantly say here, Dominic, it's actually a really well put together card. It's a shame Madrimov Kurbanov fell off because it's actually a good undercard.
Yeah, it's a fantastic. I'd actually forgotten about all the other fights on the card other than the Nick Ball fight. I mean, I heard earlier about Madrimov. I think Madrimov failed the medical, didn't he?
Yep, he did with the board. Yep.
That's a pity. But and who did you say Gavin Gwynn's fighting?
Mark Chamberlain is an undefeated. I think he's from Portsmouth, lightweight on the Frank sort of BT scene.
Yes. And I'd actually forgotten as well that Parker and Zhang was on this undercard as well. I'm actually more interested in Zhang Parker than I am the AJ fight, if I'm being totally honest.
Me too. I agree.
I would sort of, I must say, I think I would give the benefit of the doubt to the Big Bang. I think he's going to win. I just say that because I just think Wilder was so out of it that night. I can't bring myself to read as much into the Parker win as some people are. So I think Parker's a tough guy. You know, he's hard to stop. So it'll be interesting to see. But I mean, we know how tough Joe Joyce had a reputation for being before he went into the Zhilei Zhang fights, and it didn't stop him from being broken up. So I will say that Zhang. It's a funny one because I think the longer the fight goes on, I think Parker has more of a shout. I think the longer Parker can stay in the fight, if he gets into the second half of the fight, I could see Parker, coming on strong late.
I think as well, Dominic, Parker's win over Wilder said a lot about where Wilder is mentally and physically. And Parker, we know what he is. And if Zhang, unless he gets old overnight, and I know people point to the renal failure and that, but that was only a one-off. Other than that, he showed pretty good bank.
Not like we said that. We only had the heart failure once, but he's
bounced back.
He's bounced back.
He's bounced back from the old liver. And I think it's his fight to lose, Zhang. I think it'd be best for the division if Zhang just bangs Parker out late.
I think it's definitely best for the division if Zhang wins. And I'll say I'm going to actually go for Zhang a mid-round stoppage, maybe 7 or 8 rounds.
Yeah, 6 or 7. I was going to say the same as you, actually.
It's not going to do nothing for the division if Zhang wins because he's not going to get to fight any of them anyway. He'll have to fucking sit it out. So the division will be where the division is, where these 3 play it out at the top. I think Parker did well against Wilder. I think he had his game plan was to close the distance. Wilder was firing over a lot over the top and didn't seem to want to engage. And when Parker got close, he let his hands go, and he did all he could, and he won the fight at a canter in the end. So, as bad as Wilder looked on the night, Parker did look good, but could he impose that same game plan on Zhilei Zhang? No. So he's going to have a different approach. So what are they working on? I don't know. Like, can you stay out on the outside against Zhang? He's such a big unit. Like, the ball's on Parker, I say, for taking this fight because he had a bit of credit in the bank. If he had known White was fucking going to be available against Soon, he might have waited it out. Maybe
it's a world title fight though as well. So, it's a title fight of sorts,
So it's big money again in Riyadh. They're fucking, there's massive money, I'm sure, involved for them. Like fucking, and he doesn't need the money. He's fucking made it already in a lot of ways, apparently, Big Joe. But yeah, like I think Zhang will stop him. I think Zhang will stop him kind of around 8-9 rounds. I just think it'd be too much for him when he starts to. There's a big difference in the size of the two of them too. I know they're both heavyweights, but I'm sure Zhang is coming in a lot heavier, and I don't think it's the 1 point with Wilder. He just had to avoid the right hand, and he did a great job of closing the distance and making sure that he wasn't there for Wilder's right hand. Not that he fucking threw it that often, but I think Zhang is going to be way more active. And it's a different proposition trying to keep him off you for 12 rounds. And I think once he starts to get through on Joe Parker, there's such a big size difference. I think he'll stop him around 8 or 9 rounds.
I agree with that as well. Hamed says Parker might make him look silly and slow. I don't agree with that, Andy, at all, to be honest. I think Zhang, for all of his faults, he's not slow. He's got really quick hands. And Parker didn't really do too much of a good job of making Joyce look silly and slow.
Yeah, I kind of like written Zhang off in the past now, but he has won me over, to be fair. And I agree with what Dominic was saying. It's probably the best thing for the sport because if Zhang wins, because Parker's had his time, he's had his chance. Zhang, regardless of what his age and that, he is kind of new to the kind of top part of the scene and that. And I think he's got himself there by merit. He's won two fights against Joe Joyce to prove it, and that's where he's deserving of that moment. Stepped up when it really mattered. So I think he's next in line at some point. So he should get the winner or a crack at Usyk or Fury or Joshua. He's certainly deserving it, I think, anyway. So I'm not too sure about a prediction. As I say, I hope Zhang wins. Certainly hasn't to be slept on. And if he does catch Parker, has Parker then really got it in him now to kind of like really start digging out? I mean, look at the mess of Joe Joyce's face after that first fight. If that starts happening to Parker, you know, as I say, he's been over the course now. He's earned his money. How much is he willing to take? So that'll be interesting. But I don't see Parker as this slick boxer, you know, making him look silly in that. I mean, end of the day, he hasn't got a lot of power about him.
He does have
Zhang. As I said, I've underrated Zhang a wee bit as well. He has got skills about him. He's a southpaw as well, and he's got power in both hands. So needs to be respected.
Parker, you'd say he does have good hand speed, but I wouldn't say that Zhile Zhang has slow hands.
He's got fast hands, I think, for a big old 40-year-old.
Exactly. And I can't shake what Mark Stanton said there in the chat, you know, thinking back to that fight against Parker. I mean, while they're through, Mark Stanton, you see at the comment, he didn't throw a thing.
Well, you were waiting for Wilder to get started in that fight, man. I remember just, you know, we mentioned that about 6th or 7th round. Like, well, come on, then, get started.
And Zhang will not be like that either.
No,
he'll be throwing the first 5-6.
To be fair,
I'm looking forward to that fight. It's a good fight.
Me too.
I take Matty's comment there in the chat about the renal failure to carry on. That's what I'm saying. That's why I kind of wrote. That's why I wrote him off after that, because I'm like saying, well, if that's what's happening, there's something wrong with him. Obviously, if you're having renal failure, but he's pulled it back. He's come back strong, whatever it is. And that, as I say, he's got to take some bloody shift, man. What is he? He's about 6'5", 6'6".
Zhang, no, he's about 6'9", and he's massive. Yeah, I think. I could maybe not that big, but he's a frigging big unit. Yeah.
No, he's got to take some bloody shift. And he's shown to have. Shouldn't have a very good chin and
6'6". Sorry, Andy, you're right. He's 6'6". I just added a couple of inches to him.
Aye, pretty good resilience about him and that. So,
Parker TKO, says Arlene Burley. I'll be surprised. Tell you what, if Parker stops him, then flip me.
Matty says there in the chat, Zhang, he's not quick. He might not be quick of foot, but he's definitely. I agree with you, Steve. His hand speed is not to be sniffed at.
For his size and the way he loops them round, arcs the punches and the power.
And he's always in range as well. He's good at getting in range, whether he's fast feet or not. He's good at getting in position. Like I just can't say. I think when he starts to get close to Parker, you just bang him out eventually.
I think so too, Rob. I think if Parker knocks him out, it'd be some win, some performance. Like,
it'd be his best win by a mile.
Absolutely. Anything else, Dominic? I know you want to speak about Ball against Vargas. I would think it's best if Ball wins because I'm sick of Vargas. But Vargas is tried and tested at this level out the two.
Well, I couldn't agree with you more about who is better for it's better for Ball to win. But yes, Vargas is tested and he's been on the road as well. He fought Gavin McDonald, didn't he, in Hull about 6 or 7 years ago.
That's enough to scare anybody. That would have toughened him up a bit.
That would have been a bit like all these people that say Lionel Messi, what's he going to be like when he plays Stoke on a cold winter's night? The thing about Vargas, where I would worry about him is I don't know if he has the pop and his punch to turn Nick Ball. And you look at his record, a lot of his fights, they're decisions. Now I had a chat with Matty about this a couple of months ago, and Matty was quite adamant that Ray Vargas was going to have too much for Nick Ball. But I've been impressed with Ball for quite some time. I really like him. I've been watching a few interviews with him these past few days. I think he's a real breath of fresh air in the sport. He's in a sea of silliness and inanity. He's all business. And I saw him fight in Belfast against that poor South African fella that had to go off the hospital. It was on the Conlon, was not on the Mick Conlon Luis Lopez undercard, Steve, wasn't it?
Yeah,
it was last May, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And I thought that was a good experience for him because it was. I think he knocked the guy out in the last round, and that South African guy, as we know now, faithfully, he was too tough for his own good. But it gave Ball the rounds, and I think he's going to stop Vargas late.
Big statement, that.
Would love that, by the way. Would absolutely love that.
I think he has. We haven't seen him. You're right, Steve. Well, this is a step up. We haven't seen him. Seen him against Dogbe. but I just think he's used to fighting guys that are bigger than him. And bear in mind as well, Ball said this in an interview, you have to figure into the equation. It's also difficult for the taller guy punching down and fighting a guy, getting the punching trajectory right to hit a guy that's smaller than you.
And Vargas is very tall and thin for the weight. That will benefit Ball because Ball has been there to be hit in the past. Like his head movement's not always on point. But as you said, the fact that Vargas is punching down, well, if we can get Vargas punching at all, it'd be a miracle. But I agree with you. I think that will be a problem, and Ball sort of going with the shoulders in and out. I think that will cause Vargas early on. Vargas is a stinking hater though, man. It'd be just our luck if he manages to fiddle him about over the distance.
I think Ball. I think Ball won't. The way he fights, he doesn't. I don't think he'll allow himself to be fiddled out of the fight. I think he'll take the bull by the horns. I think he'll look for the body. I'm going to go for Ball either by
take the ball by the horns.
Take the ball by the horns. I'm going for Ball for the win either by. As I say, I'm a fan of Ball, so I'm probably not being completely objective, but I'd take Ball to win either by decision or late stoppage. I really do rate him.
Okie doke. Andy, anything else from you from the undercard you fancy mentioning before we move on?
Give me a second to have a quick look on the card, mate. But no, I was just going to mention just on the Ball Vargas fight. I agree with what Dominic was saying. I hope Ball wins. I really like him as a fighter. Maybe the size difference might actually go in his favour this time, actually, because obviously he can maybe kind of getting at the body better, possibly, whereas Vargas might have to punch downwards. And Vargas has been dropped a number of times in his career, by the way, even early and even his time as champion, or even as early as 2 or 3 fights. But I think Magsayo dropped him, I think, as well, possibly.
He did, but he can punch Magsayo, to be fair.
Aye, and as I say, I really like Ball's output. He's all action. He's got a very good engine. He's gonna need it in this fight without doubt. So hopefully he's trained. Everything's been spot on from him in terms of like acclimatizing to Saudi Arabia and that type of thing. There's no illnesses in that, and pray that he ends his reign of Ray Vargas, because I'm sick of that one. That is one career I'll never watch back ever. So
hasn't he been allowed to hold on to this belt and fight up at Super Feather?
That's right. Yeah, he's had it for about 18 months now altogether.
That's what happens when you're WBC champion. You happen to be Mexican as well, But as I say, hopefully Ball pulls it off. I'm pulling for him because, as I say, it's time to kind of get the older guys out of the sport now, get the fresh ones in. And Ball ticks all the boxes in terms of, like, again, what you want. In terms of, like, say, if you know like your technical boxing, then Ball's is your alternative, and he's all action. He's come forward, punches galore. It's what you want. So hopefully it does the business. And as you say, Dominic, if he pulls a stoppage off, that is a hell of a statement. And it'll probably be the upset of the year so far if he was to stop him, I would say.
Okie doke. Rob, we'll move on to you for this next segment just quickly before Bellew of the Week. Canelo apparently is making an announcement on Tuesday. We were hoping he was going to fight the best of the best at the PBC. Everybody wanted Benavidez as the third fight of the contract, and we thought that was the reason why he originally signed with the PBC, was to cement that fight. However, Rob, it now appears that Canelo signed with the PBC on the basis that he wouldn't be fighting Benavidez, and now they've fallen out. His contract is annulled, and it's a bizarre series of events all round.
Well, you don't like to say fighters are ducking anybody, but it looks like Canelo doesn't want to fight Benavidez, doesn't it? Like it's pretty claro at this stage. It reminds me of the time when Amir Khan signed with Eddie and Kell Brook got in the ring and said Amir Khan didn't really want to entertain talking him in the fight. I said something like, "I signed with your promoter, I'm chasing you," and dropped the microphone and ran out of the ring. Like, it seems a bit of that, doesn't it? Like, I'm coming over to the BBC, you're getting Benavidez, buy these next few fights because at the end you're going to get Benavidez. Benavidez looks like at this. I get it, totally get it. Like, Canelo it's Benavidez could fucking. It's the toughest fight out there for Canelo at 68. He doesn't want the Bivol fight rematch is not going to happen. I think that's good for him because I think Bivol would have beat him at 68 as well. Mm-hmm. He's coming towards the end. It's fucking, you got to think like it's 12 years ago since Canelo kind of popped up on HBO getting rocked by Cotto's older brother, and then went on that massive trajectory where he fought everybody. Basically, he got a couple of gift decisions, of course, along the way. He had his controversy around the Mexican meat, but over the last 5 years, he's been firmly the biggest name in the sport. He generates the most pay-per-view revenue because of the Mexican fan base and the crossover appeal in America. He's fought everybody, but for as good as his resume was in the first half of his career, on the wind down, there's been a lot of kind of rocky feelings and Callums and fucking John Riders and any kind of fucking generic English name you can think of. He's fought so he just wants to fucking cruise control. He's going to make big money no matter who he fights. If he fights Munguia, it's still a big Mexican holiday fight. It's big numbers. If he fights Berlanga, it's the same thing. Mexico versus Puerto Rico. You get a story. You get a sellable fight. It's not the fight that the hardcores want, but we don't get to fucking say what Canelo gets to do at this stage of his career. He's on the Floyd run, 6-fight deal with Showtime that he had towards his end. But you gotta say that's disappointing compared to what you could have had.
Yeah, exactly. You mentioned there, Rob, Munguia in May, Berlanga in September. They're decent enough fights, but they're the choices off the back of a duck, aren't they? Let's be honest.
Yeah, like we want to see Benavidez Canelo because we want to see the passing of the torch too. And sometimes that's the thing that's happened with the networks getting so fragmented and the promoters, all this cross promotional shit that we've had to live through for the last 10 to 15 years, is that we're not getting these necessarily the passing of the torch moments where the best guy who used to be the best guy has to fight the young lion to pass the fucking torch on, and that in turn helps build stars. So if Benavidez had gone out and stopped Canelo per se, he's probably the fucking biggest thing in boxing. Isn't he on the come up? Or one of them. He's getting his shine, and then it depends how you navigate him. But so many times we see this, with you beat the guy who you beat the man, say, and then you've nowhere to go after that. It's just, I don't know. You can't get your chance to fucking. You're the guy on the come up, but you can't get your chance to fucking knock the guy off the throne because you're on different networks and stuff. So it's just a strange one. But yeah, we want a Benavidez versus Canelo. We're getting Benavidez versus Munguia, or fucking Canelo versus Munguia. Not the worst fight in the world, but does anybody think Munguia could do anything with Canelo? He's just going to be a static target for him, isn't he? Munguia's just going to walk straight to Canelo.
Yeah, I don't think I don't think Canelo's declined enough, and I don't think Munguia is going to get. I think Munguia is approaching as good as he will be, and I don't think Canelo's declined enough to be in danger of losing that fight. I mean, I saw a news the other day. David Benavidez came out and said he was happy to take as little as fight. Well, I say as little, but in terms of purses that are for these sorts of fights, he was willing to take $5 million for the Canelo fight. Which
8% of the purse or something.
Yeah.
92. He was willing to give Canelo 92% of the share to make the fight. Safe to say he wanted that fight. I think Benavidez.
I think as well, some of Canelo's verbiage is strange. He's he was coming out in social media or whatever it was, saying, "Oh, no one will give me credit no matter who I fight." So I don't want to fight Benavidez based on the fact that even if I beat him, people are saying, "No, I'm ducking somebody else," which I thought was a bit of a disingenuous comment. But look at that one on there. He put out a thing saying, "Oh, keep an eye on Instagram," or whatever it was and then he's no golf, no life hashtag appeared here. Save the date, 17th of May 2024. He's taking part in this tournament, so that's not going to be 2 weeks after Benavidez, is it? We knew then.
Why didn't he just go fight Crawford then?
Well, everyone he's linked to is being brought up in weight, aren't they? Charlo, Crawford. They're talking about the corpse of Spence. Nobody in the
you want Bede, you come up in weight to get Bede.
Yeah.
Crawford seemed like he really wanted to fight. Let's have that one. That's better than fucking. But then again, he probably wouldn't sell the same as a Munguia fight in Mexico.
He said the same about Crawford as he did about Benavidez, didn't he? And he said, I am not going to get the.
So he's playing golf instead. Fucking brilliant.
I thought it was Rory McIlroy.
No, it just saying he's playing fucking golf instead, man. You don't do what the champion tells you to do. You'll sit down and do as you're told. When he decides to fight, then he'll fight, and then you'll come and get your payday. Now, just use boys. Keep
he hasn't
working,
given a payday to the fella
fighting.
down the fucking flyer anyway. He looks like he's done that on his phone, hasn't he? Fuck's sake.
I just love it though, man. It's he should retire anyway. I mean, he's past his peak now, I would think. He's not going to go up any higher in weight in terms of success. I don't think. And the other guys are just basically hanging off, waiting for that phone call, so he can do what he wants, really, can he?
Andy, you know what's coming, don't you? He's
What?
DAZN. He's back on DAZN.
Oh, is he?
DAZN also have Jake Paul.
Oh,
Wasted
no.
no time last night and calling him out. Canelo now with this new duck and weave strategy. Are we totally confident? We're not going to see Canelo, Jake Paul. Pay-per-view 2025.
I tell you what I want to
Log
see,
it.
mate. I want to see the situation. Remember when he got all hot and bothered with Lionel Messi at the World Cup last year?
Yep.
I want to see they two fight because Messi's come to the end of his career and that, so he should take up
What does he do with you? Jesus Christ. Poor Messi.
He likes to drink, doesn't he, Canelo? Didn't
He does,
get banned from his...
Let's not hold that against
I don't fucking care, man. I don't fucking care.
I think the golf's a more interesting one because, you know, you're alluding to it sort of jocularly there, Steve, that he wasn't going to fight Benavidez 2 weeks before this golf event. And I think that's, you know, on a serious point, in the last few years, you know, it's sort of been known that he's really into his golf and he's, you know, it's become a big sort of passion for him. But I mean, I was saying it to one of the guys the other day.
Bastard.
I think
fucking life. Go Ryan Garcia away. What the fuck is wrong with you on the golf course? Fucking stop that, will you?
I'm gonna follow the Oscar template post retirement. I mean, I think that ever since the Bivol fight, I think what really annoyed them wasn't even more so than actually losing the Bivol was the fact that they picked them to begin with. The fact that they got it wrong. I don't think they would have fought Bivol at all if they had even the slightest inkling that Bivol was capable of doing what he did that night.
Oh, no way.
And I think that really rankles with them, and I think it might contribute to why they're so reluctant to fight a Benavidez now. Yeah, so I think if he doesn't fight Benavidez next, I don't think we'll ever see it, to be honest. Then, interestingly, on Benavidez, they're talking about Benavidez fighting Gvozdyk, which is an interesting fight. I don't think Gvozdyk should be fighting again, but Teddy Atlas came out and said this week he thought Gvozdyk would beat Benavidez, despite how big a fan he is of Benavidez. But
wasn't he training Gvozdyk at one point?
He was training in Canelo's camp before Canelo fought Bivol. They brought him in for sparring. Canelo sparred him before the Bivol fight.
But wasn't Teddy Atlas training Gvozdyk?
Oh, that's right. He trained him for the Beterbiev. He trained him for the Adonis Stevenson fight, and then and then he obviously didn't work with him after. I mean, he wasn't fighting for 3 years after the Beterbiev fight. But
Andy, final word to you before we move on.
What fight, mate?
Well, just about the Canelo situation. Are you unmuted? If it's up to you.
Oh, sorry, mate. I didn't know I was there. So no, I kind of had my say. Really, he's coming to the end now. Really, if he's going to pass the torch, I don't think this excuse about not wanting to fight a Mexican at the end of the day. And I mean, what the hell was Chavez at the end of the day? You know,
yeah, that's a lot of
and Benavidez isn't. I don't know if people really class him, but he's not even the Mexican. What is he again? What's his ethnic background? Is it no Dominican?
Well, he's Mexican. He calls himself the Red Flag, doesn't he? La Bandera Roja. He has a bit of Ecuadorian in him as well. I think he wasn't born in Arizona.
Ecuador, right,
Yeah.
okay. So look, obviously he's a threat. He's some sort of danger and that. But if that's the reason why Canelo only fight him is because of whatever Mexican or Hispanic heritage, whatever and that, then that's not going to wash me at the end of the day and that. But I would love to see Benavidez fight guys like Beterbiev and Bivol. I've said it before. He's a weight bully. I want to see him up at 75. He would probably beat everybody at 68, maybe apart from Canelo at this point. We'd wait and see, but I want to see him at 75. That's his natural weight, and I'd like to see him fight, as I say, they two guys. If he beats these two guys, that would be a statement. No beating a guy like Canelo, who's really a pumped up middleweight, isn't he?
Yeah. Go ahead, Dominic.
I can't see Benavidez. I would love to see Benavidez against either of those two, but I can see him fighting Bivol sooner than he would fight Beterbiev. I don't think he would fight Beterbiev.
No chance.
I mean, it would be some fight if it happened, but I think he would get stopped.
Yeah, he would. He's a threat. He's a danger. He's a weight bully, says Andy. Talking about Canelo, of course. Not Ronnie Hussein, whose T-shirt came this week. There he is. The Hussein.
Hussein, not you anyway. Buying that fucking T-shirt.
Looking well, old Ronald there.
Good man, Ron. We wish you well.
Shout out to Ron for buying the t-shirt. Right, let's get on to Value of the Week then, shall we? Rob's here, Andy's here, Dominic's here as well. What shall we have?
Scare the bitches away with them t-shirts. I swear to God. Amazing. Fair play. Looks great.
Well, talking of crazy, Rob, we were talking earlier about Ryan Garcia, and playing us in this week for Value of the Week, episode 562. It's only the man himself, Oscar, and his side piece filming him on Instagram here. I'm not quite sure what's going on.
Parachuting back to Vegas. Big titty committee.
Look at her pretending to think that's funny.
Did you notice his fly was open there, by the way? Did you notice that? Did you notice? Play it again. Play it again.
Yeah.
Look at it. You see it?
Parachuting back to Vegas.
This is her fake laugh. She's like,
He had his paw out there, by the way.
Millionaire Oscar sure is funny when he has a bra over his head. Off his fucking nut on coke.
Oh, he's some fucking man.
Oh, dear me. Good old Oscar. He's loving life.
Him and fucking B-Hop, by the way. They're like Laurel and Hardy, aren't they? Like a fucking a throwback to times gone by. Like fucking Bernard out at the fucking press conference with his fucking clear repercussions of fucking fighting Kovalev and Joe Smith back to back in between 18 months. Like he didn't need that. Like he was perfectly coherent. Well, I say perfectly, but he was coherent in those fucking face-offs against Pascal. There was nothing wrong with him. Hung on too long, and now he's coming out with all kinds of craziness. And Oscar at the back, like they are just, and they keep talking all this fucking hyperbole about they're going to take over the sport and change. Like use to our old news. Like you're hanging in there by the thread of Ryan Garcia, and he's on the fucking way out. So sad to see two great fighters. They just won't piss off, will they? Just Golden Boy won't die. Like they're hanging on by a fucking thread. They're propping up another event. Oscar with his Garcia comes to the fucking press conference with a white suit, and Oscar has to come with a whiter one. Two of them looking like a fucking Scarface tribute act at the fucking press
Fighting
conference.
for the white behind the scenes.
Oh my God!
Funny
White
when
lines don't do it.
When B-Hop goes on these big meandering tirades, like he makes me seem flipping concise, but he goes on these big, long, obscure. And you see, Ryan Garcia got up at the press conference and said, "Bernard, do you want to squash the beef?"
Oh
no, I missed that bit.
Oh, he did. He got up. He Bernard was in the middle of one of his big speeches, and Garcia just got up and said, "Bernard, do you want to squash the beef?" And Hopkins was all, "No, there's no beef between us." And then there was this great picture of Hopkins. He put his arm around Garcia, and Garcia looked really dejected or something. No, it was an interesting moment. All right.
The beef stems from the fact that Garcia thinks his promoters are against him. He's got a lot of paranoia. He's very paranoid. This guy.
He tweeted out "R.I.P. Ryan 666" earlier.
He fucking said that Bernard said that boxing will call your bluff. So he deducted from that his promoters are against him and they're a bunch of haters, and that's where the beef between him and Bernard came from. And then he said, like, he went on to say loads of times that Bernard is a weirdo. He's a weirdo. He's a weirdo.
High praise coming from him, eh? Well,
see what he said that shit in the bathroom.
Yo, Andy, you've alerted me to this one.
Aye, so someone's uploaded or left this comment on a Mickey Ward Shane Airy video that I was watching. I fucking looked down below. The Fighter was the movie when Ward defeated Neri. I was like, well, Mitchell's really on the ball with the breaking news, eh? It's like the film came out like fucking 10 years ago, didn't it?
Mitchell Hodak, hold that thought.
Someone was on the comments just scrolling through, like, finally I had the fucking answer I was looking for.
Okay, so Mr. Mitchell isn't the real Mr. Current Affairs, though, really, eh? So, that was a bit.
It's like when Maddie does the fucking same joke that you do 10 times worse 2 minutes later. You know that way?
Oh, we miss him, Rob. We miss him.
Don't miss him. He's in the fucking chat. He can't help himself. He's in there.
He's doing in Puerto Rico, by the way. He's on here listening to
He's
us.
in Puerto Rico and he's bashing the keyboard. Get a fucking life for yourself. What's the matter with you?
He's probably putting bets on, isn't he?
He's probably doing the casino, by the way, losing money hand over fist. We probably
This is why there's no justice. See, this is why I said this last week. I should be in Puerto Rico. I would not be in the fucking chat if I was in Puerto Rico, says the fella who fucking called in on his wedding day.
I tell you what, though. I hope he doesn't lose all his cash and pull a Felix Verdejo and the missus, by the way.
Maddie Verdejo.
Well, he might get away with it, Andy. If he was in the Turning Stone last night when the lights kept going out every 5 seconds.
Oh, there was. I can't mind what card it was on, mate. That was even worse. Was like, I think it was like one of the YouTube shows. I think it might be in Italy. It was like a rave party, mate. It was going orange, then yellow, then bloody blue, then red, and then green. It was. I had to switch it off because it was just like fucking with my eyes and that, man. Just wild.
See how boxing fucks with your head, and little shit that happened in the boxing world will stay in your mind, like, or whatever, forever. Or maybe it's just me, but see when the lights go off and something, I keep thinking about Brother Nazim talking about Bernard Hopkins that time when there was a female interviewer in the gym and the electricity went. He said before he looked, Bernard Hopkins was outside with his gym bag, and he was like, "Why'd you leave the gym?" And he goes, "Because the fucking lights just cut off with 20 fellas and one woman, so if someone touched her, it wasn't the champ." So now anytime the fucking lights go anywhere I am, I'm like, do I have to fucking leave this place? Hold on, who's in here?
Matty says he's got explosive diarrhea. I think she's tried to poison him, I think. She's trying to counter him, I think.
That's the fucking same as every week then, isn't it? Fuck's sake.
Too much rum.
Too much rum, aye. Rum and coke.
There we go. Right, what else have we got here? Let's have a look down. Yeah, so I had to nominate these boys, the Stick and Move podcast. I'm not sure who they are, but this came up earlier, recommended on my feed, Andy. Is David Tua a Hall of Famer? Volume 2.
Fuck. What, you didn't see Volume 1?
No, he's not, definitely not.
What the hell, man? Oh, come on. I mean, David, he was a good fighter, like, but Jesus.
He was a good fighter. And by the way, can I just say something? I went back and watched it, and I don't know if I'm just getting old in my age now, or if I'm just getting hard to please, or whatever, not in my old age, but I find that Ike Ibuabuchi fight a wee bit slightly overrated. I don't know if I'm just overthinking that a wee bit, but who knows? Maybe that's what it is.
I haven't watched it in a while. Yeah, I don't know.
I wouldn't say he's a Hall of Famer, but I'd say if he was around today, he'd be a world champion about 3 times over when you see who has been world champions. Anyway.
I thought Andy was going to say he went back and watched the David Tua Lennox Lewis fight, and I was going to say fair play. I remember that one at the time, man. Flip me, it was a hard watch. Anyway, let's put it that way. But yeah, Tua.
I was listening talking about heavyweights, and I was listening to like Patrick Connor and his podcast. What's his name again? Knuckles and Gloves, I think it was called that. And they are actually talking about Mike Weaver.
Yes.
Maybe something for us. Maybe to talk about that. How the nearly man, but guys with big punches and that, almost to the promised land, 15-round mark, and then it kind of like falls away from that type of thing and that.
Mike Weaver. Yeah, I remember
Weaver.
him. Didn't he end up with he had about 15 losses on his record, didn't he, Weaver?
He won a he won a title when
he knocked out?
Fragmented that time. Didn't he have a WBA title?
South Africa won it, did they know?
Oh, he knocked out. Who did he knock out?
Was it one of the
Jerry Coetzee.
Coetzee, aye.
Jerry Coetzee.
Dokes, I was thinking. Wasn't it Dokes he fought? No. Was it
Dokes knocked him out, did he?
Aye, the 15th round or something.
Yes, he beat Tillis. He beat James Tillis. Sorry, that's what I was thinking of. Yeah. Right enough. Coetzee beat him as well. I'm just looking back down the record. Right enough. Weaver early on in his career. Yes, it was Dokes beat him. That was one I was trying to remember. Good fighter, Mike Weaver. 18 losses he ended up with in the end, didn't they?
Aye.
12 by knockout. Hercules.
I knew I'd get Matty to bite on that Tua comment, by the way.
Good old Matty. Shout out to Tyson Fury. I was in Home Bargains a couple of days ago, and this was on the shelf.
Did you buy it?
I did not. 15 notes, Andy. Eau de toilette spray. Yeah.
I see it now.
Tyson Fury on the toilet. He's a fucking neck as we sell anything.
I've seen that Ferocity drink he's got out, mate, for like 99 cents or whatever it was in the fucking local bin bargain. That was home bargain, sorry. Bin bargain.
Bargain bin? The bargain bucket?
Fire. Set fire.
Imagine some young one, like, she fucking goes home with a chap, like, fucking wakes up the next day, asks, can I use the bathroom? She goes to fucking, and she sees he has that. That's what she's ever going for the night before. The Tyson Fury on the toilet.
Oh, you're smelling good there, honey. What are you on there? Ferocity, and this is the ferocity you're smelling off me here.
What's her aftershave? It's Tyson Fury's on the toilet.
Well, as long as you don't spray any of this on you. The Dillian White aftershave coming out soon. Dillian White cleared to continue career following investigation by himself.
Well, his comeback fight's going to be against Dell in Texas.
You got to know who this expert is, by the way. This expert is definitely, he's paid for. He's not independent.
The same experts that said Iraq had WMD or something.
Yeah, but see, this is the problem you've got here. When you actually have powerful people who actually come to a conclusion before they actually get the facts, so you then get your minions to go and find those facts just to fit your narrative. That's what really fucks you up there. Fuck Tony Blair.
You hear that, Matty?
Don't encourage.
And George W.
He'd be calling in.
This is one of the best times ever because all you can do is just fucking type about it in the chat and we're not going to read it. Brilliant.
A big soliloquy.
Oh, he'll be on next week, by the way. He'll be on fire next week. We'll get after all the politics comments.
Oh, he will. He'll be enjoying it. Yeah, talking of politics, Dominic, I actually forgot to play this one last week, but you reminded me of it before the Podrick McCrory Edgar Berlanga fight came up. We had a bit of a Mick Conlan ring walk-esque comment from Chris Mannix. Let's all listen.
The mantra this week for the camp of Podrick McCrory has been the Irish phrase Chucky Arla, which means our day has come.
And he got it wrong, actually. It actually means our day will come.
Our day will come. That's what Mrs. Wellington was saying. But I thought it was funny all the same.
It's just that wonderful American blissful unawareness of
ignorant bastards, man. That's what they are, man.
Podrick McCrory was a member of the Provisional IRA.
Filing his taxes with the IRA.
I'm waiting for fucking riddled dementia Joe Biden to come out and say,
Yeah.
Fucking prick.
Great bunch of guys.
Yeah. Provisional IRA, great bunch of lads.
Oh, thank you, Dominic, for that one. There's King Rye again, Rob. This might be curtains.
He's at it now, isn't he? Like,
yeah, I'm sad. He says, I don't know. I worry about him, Bob. To be honest, I know it's Bellew of the Week territory, like, but Paul King.
Well, like now I'm starting to fucking. I'm gone, Richard. I need Richard E. Hall at times like this. If only he was available. Do you know what I mean? I need somebody to fucking pull up the timestamps and fucking do the behind the scenes here. Because is he at it or is he not at it? Like, is he really steaming at the press conference or is he fucking pulling a fucking Kaiser Soze? Who knows? Like, I think he's fucking steaming, and I think no matter what, his habits that he have will show up in the ring. But I'm entertained by all this. I have to fucking tell you, his fight, I didn't give a fuck about it until about 2 days ago, and now I'm all in. Like,
King Roy sending cryptic messages about Jill Dando. We'll know something's up then.
He's onto the fucking human mutilations next. For fuck's sake.
Oh, what?
Riddle Saw Mystery.
He's not a fan of Fred West, is it?
It wasn't.
Handwriting analysis. Oh my gosh.
Fucking Jesus Christ.
There's a Fred West rabbit hole that we will not go down at this time. That's me after the pod if you want to fucking hear more about it.
I don't want to end up down a Fred West rabbit hole. Thank you very much, Rob.
See, King Ray is able to say. King Ray will be able to say, you know, if about Floyd, he said like, at least I can write Floyd. He'll be able to say something like that.
Can you read?
Exactly.
Handwriting analysis of King Roy. Mate, sorry you're getting nominated. The moment it was revealed to Matty, sitting in the arena waiting for Amanda Serrano to come out, he looks in the Nutters group to find out that the fight off down to something falling in Serrano's eye.
I wonder if he got his refund though. Did he get a refund, Matty? Let us know.
That is fucking amazing.
So
I shouldn't be that happy about it, but I am. I can't help it. I'm overjoyed with this news.
Just to ask the listeners, by the way, of course, if Matty didn't get his refund, can you give us a couple of super chats just to kind of cover Matty's costs here? Because, you know,
yeah, come on, we've got to fly this guy back from Puerto Rico before he starts enjoying himself.
You say I have to shit her first.
He's got explosive diarrhea. Talking of diarrhea, here's a man on the run.
Eddie
Jared
Hearn, is it?
Anderson, arrested in Michigan after high-speed chase. He was sending out Instagram messages as well to Bob Arum and Top Rank. Andy, Arum always gets you in the long grass.
No, he
was
wasn't
trying to
in
get
the
away from Earl Spence, wasn't he?
No, I thought. Well, there wasn't a sight in a white Bronco there, was there anywhere? No.
I don't
Fucking
think
hell,
so.
man. I bet was there no something about him doing in Florida recently as well?
Yeah, he had a concealed weapon, didn't he, or something?
Oh, that what it was, or something, and then he got done for, was it weed or something?
No.
As
He's
well.
going on a bad path.
So I don't know what's happened here, by the way, but it seems to have kind of turned to shit pretty quick. And that's including what's been happening in the ring there recently as well, because, you know, he's been talking about retirement. He's talking about 3-4 years away by the time of his age and that. But this is
breaking down, crying and all, talking right. This fella's finished, man. Forget about him. Put him in the Seth Mitchell pile, because that's where he's going to fucking end up.
Again,
he's going nowhere.
This is what I said earlier, Steve, about the heavyweight division. I mean, it's shit, man. You take out Fury, Usyk, and probably Joshua at this point, right? What else is there? There's fucking, well, obviously you've got Zhang and that, but Parker's had his day. You've got this guy fucking up. You've got Miller getting packed in. You've got Wilder can't throw right hands anymore, and you've got fucking Lucas Brown's making scrambled egg and bacon and mushrooms and that.
You've got to say the era of the American heavyweight is pretty much over, isn't it? Wilder fucking reignited that flame for a little while. They hadn't had a heavyweight before Wilder in fucking 25 years, and now who's going to be the next one? It's not going to be big baby Jared Anderson. I know that. Fucking hell.
The likes of Torres is being moved at a snail's pace.
What happens to that guy? Said he fights once a year as well. Like, for a guy who's a fucking prospect, he's not nowhere near active enough.
Torres getting wasted because he's not active. You saying active enough, but Anderson probably another one waiting for that Saudi payday and then he'd retire. But everybody else just waiting for the call.
I hope Trevor Bryan gets the Saudi payday instead of him.
Trevor Bryan, for me, do we even know if he's walking after his last fight? I forgot all about him, actually. Who did he fight?
I want to see Tony Thompson come back, by the way. Really,
his wife is not walking.
Can you imagine the amount of wheelchairs he'd be managed to buy, man, if he got that Saudi money? That'd be amazing, man.
Oh, dear.
You could even buy a new hip if we never seen it. Put her on traction as well when she stretched it.
This was a bad one. Obviously, everybody saw the footage. I don't know what the hell was going on in Roscommon, but I know it wasn't nice. Carl Frampton was tweeting out disgusting scenes at the All Ireland under-14s last night. Keep that madness away from the kids. But then Alonso jumps in and says "Gad" again halfway through. That was a pretty
anybody who's
bad
not seen the footage.
I
think we've got a couple of American listeners on that as well. There was a junior amateur show. And some arseholes have come into the gym with fucking machetes and started just basically having a ramming in the place. We're like, what age were the kids? 11-year-old, if that, maybe younger than that, possibly. Yeah. Kids, basically, man, and they're having to watch this shit.
So there's nothing to do with the Gad. What else? That we know of. We've got a few people nominating this, apparently. Charlie Parsons, I'm delighted to launch my own sports network powered by Wow Hydrate, the stomping ground, predominantly launching in boxing. The channel looks to feature talent from the world of football and other sports. Content will also be available on the DAZN app at DAZN Boxing. There you go.
Imagine leaving your job, go to work for Wow Hydrate, start on a new platform, go straight on DAZN. One of the very first interviews that you get is the world heavyweight champion. I wonder who's got a hand in that, by the way.
He's a great young lad anyway. He's great. He's a lovely chap. I say nothing bad about him anyway. He's fucking doing good. Sounds like he's doing well. Hope we wish him well.
Doesn't need a hand up or a leg air, by the way, for the sounds it. Just got access overnight like that.
I love to see these new channels to think that that's another thing that I'm not going to look at. So that's good anyway.
Talking of access, we know that ProBox has hooked up now with Boxing Scene. And if you wondered what you were going to be receiving, Rob, here's a piece from Eric Raskin. We all want Canelo Benavidez, but Canelo owes us nothing. So puff PR pieces basically is the type of spot.
I tell you what, though,
ad after that.
I've seen a change in the articles, and how they're
written. PR shite.
It's
through there, telling you.
There's definite corporate fucking wording. The way it was written just. It's completely different. Jake Donovan's going to be a big miss for that place.
It's interesting because they've got Kieran Mulvaney now writing for them, who is very good. But I must actually keep an eye out if you're saying that there's been you've noticed the change in their in the tone of their writing this past few weeks. I'll keep an eye out for that. But I was sort of happy to see Mulvaney. He wrote the fight report for what fight was it, Steve, last week? The
Alanga, wasn't it?
Yes, that's right. It was a very good write up of the fight itself. But so who's bought them now? Is it the
people behind ProBox
Right.
who run the ProBox channel, which is a promoter? It's all very weird, isn't it?
ProBox is a promoter, are they?
So
Well,
you've got Eric Raskin and Kieran Mulvaney who write for him. So there's two ex-HBO guys, both writers. I think Mulvaney's an author as well, possibly.
Yeah.
There was somebody else. Who the hell was it?
Pugmire, is he gone there, or was he always
I
there?
didn't see his name there.
He's
mate, to
the
be fair.
LA Times, isn't he?
He wrote a thing the other day on there, I think.
But basically, it's guys who were like in the Ring magazine or running with the HBO periphery and that back in the day. They've all seem to be kind of moving across the boxing scene. So there's definitely.
It's sponsorship, paid ads, PR crap. I'm available if they want to give me a shout.
The ProBox, so that are they in the business of actually putting on? They do. That's what the Matty wants. Isn't it?
It's Matty's favourite ProBox who run it in
Yes.
the rehabilitation centre.
It's the prospects coming up, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, it's prospects or sort of ex-champions and all. They do put on good fights, to be fair. That's the entity that's bought boxing scene, as far as I know, off CBS, I think.
Maddie's going to be in the rehabilitation centre someday for the gambling, isn't he?
You can just wander into ringside and watch a fight afterwards while you're all doped up. Betty Ford Clinic.
Fucking 80s reference there. Well, he's fucking having knocked me up. Fuck's sake.
Oh,
Ronnie.
I didn't manage to click on Ronnie, but we might as well nominate him for Belly of the Week as well. Go on, Ron. We'll get you in there. What else have we got here? Calix says, how is Rick Glazer better at breaking stories than dudes who are paid to break huge stories? A conversation needs to be had about how incredibly terrible the boxing media is currently. And Marcos Villejas says, it's because he knows executives at other boxing companies that tell him shit. Those execs won't tell media anything. And Rick Glazer says, Marcos, thank you for recognising you're spot on. In a typical business day, I talk to 30 to 40 boxing executives and boxing attorneys around the globe. Most reporters don't have that type of access or worldwide reach.
Bollocks.
Best regards, Marcos.
Bollocks is he doing
Thank
fucking
you.
30 to 40 calls a day with a fucking boxing day? Will you fuck off? 30 to 40 a day. What time of the day does he start? At what time of the day does he finish? And are these boxing as execs all
How's
available
there
on the
30 to
fly
40
on that
boxing
day?
executives in the world?
Every day,
Niche
let alone.
sport, man.
Let
I would
alone
love
fucking-
for someone to do a Jeremy Beadle on him, by the way. Rick Glazer, this is your
What,
life,
just come up
by the
with a
way.
little hand
It's
on
a list of bollocks, you know what I'm saying?
He'll be in hell if this is true that Canelo Bungie is going to end up on PBC on Prime. He'll be in hell.
I talk to 30 to 40 boxing executives and boxing attorneys around the globe every day. That's how many is that a week?
So what you got? You got your executive-
200 a week. He's talking to 200 boxing execs
210
a week.
week.
Yeah,
On a
nobody
standard
seems to-
fucking Monday to Friday. Fuck
But
off,
this-
Rick Glazer.
But you never hear these executives talking about Rick Glazer, though. Eh? Oh, Rick Glazer's a great man in boxing knowledge. He's a great boxing mind. He makes the big fights. His job is so big. He's so important that we can't do it without him. Nobody
I kind of
mentions
wish
him.
I had one of these wishy-washy fucking money laundering boxing jobs. I really wish. If there's anyone out there listening, that's a great bunch of lads that wants to fucking launder
hang
money
on.
through me. Just give me a shout.
Can I just read this back, Steve? I've just noticed something here.
I
Most
talked to
reporters-
200 fake boxing execs
No,
a week for that bread.
wait,
Most
this.
reporters don't have that type of
He didn't put
excess.
this. He didn't put it through spell check. Most reporters don't have the type of excess of world reach.
Well, Dan Raphael has a lot of excess.
And worldwide reach.
So there's that grey fleece.
Shout out to the fleece. Beige fleece, Andy.
Beige
well,
fleece,
maybe it was
sorry.
grey when it started.
It was beige now. All these sweaty moments where he probably sleeps with that thing on it. He just oozed through.
In a bush shelter.
It's like fucking Charlie Brown's blanket. Like he's never without the fucking thing. Like stink lines fucking showing up on it when he's on fucking Ellie's sick back. Remember the time he broke the chair?
He sits on two chairs. Whenever I was ringside at the Boston fight, he has to sit on two chairs. Well, he did then. I don't know if he does now.
Look, it's fucking God bless him.
Right. Final
He's
one.
one sup away from the fucking, you know what I mean?
One sup. Oh dear. This one's from Saint and Greavesy. Me and Andy got tagged in this week.
Saint and Greavesy.
Now,
Jesus.
Jim, one of the most bizarre sporting moments of the week had to do with a boxing match. You have some details for us.
It was wonderful. This was Steve McCarthy versus Tony Wilson, and as you can see, Wilson's getting the worst of it. And the fight's about to be stopped when in comes Ma Wilson. Good old Ma Wilson with her stiletto heel. And she was clunched old McCarthy. And that was the end of it. And he went off. Look, you can see it going in. This woman could be the woman to take on Mike Tyson. Because the only fight he ever lost was against his mother-in-law. And he goes out of the ring.
I remember this, man.
See, Greavesy, man. Greavesy was a low-key savage, man. He was
giving it to him, wasn't he?
Oh,
See, that fucking only fight he ever lost was to his mother-in-law, Robin Gibbons, is man. That's what he's talking about.
Yeah, hello.
Fuck's sake.
Greavesy was low-key savage, man. I can remember when Dundee United played Manchester United in Europe one year, mid-80s possibly. And before the game, Greavesy was getting it big talk. Man United was going to fucking smash them up and that. Anyway, big Hamish McAlpine. Where's a fucking Scottish name for you? Hamish McAlpine, goalkeeper at Dundee United. He saved a penalty that day. I think they might have drew possibly, or might have got beat 2-1. I can't mind, but it was a low-scoring game and they didn't get embarrassed anyway. And the big Hamish McAlpine, he's getting interviewed after the game and he goes like that. Aye. You could ask you ask me Greavesy now what he thinks about that result. He'll shut his mouth now anyway. So Greavesy just goes back to the studio and that just laughs it off. Fucking, it was class, man. They were great times for fucking. That was my era, man.
Greavesy was for mine too. That was fucking unbelievable.
Saturday
I remember watching
brilliant.
that shit on a fucking Saturday. Man, you have to fucking me up because you have to put me back in the time warp. You know when you get a bit of nostalgia, you have to fucking send me back to the fucking. I used to sit there and watch. I used to tape fucking Saint and Greavesy just to watch it back because we didn't have the internet. You have to understand there was different times. Like
life was more kind of like, you know, stone and pencil them days. You know what I'm saying?
Here, you're getting a bit advanced there with your fucking fax machine. We're talking fucking them phones that you fucking like clocks. So you dial the fucking shit up.
We're talking chalk and tablet here, Steve.
Oh, I'm the same age. Don't worry, I remember. That incident, I remember it at the time, but I'll just read it out quickly. So it was Tony Wilson against Steve McCarthy. So McCarthy knocked Wilson down in the third round. He was looking to finish the fight with Wilson on the ropes. The fight was stopped when Wilson's 62-year-old mother climbed into the ring and started attacking McCarthy with her shoe. McCarthy's cornerman also entered the ring. McCarthy thought he'd won, but the referee then gave the win to Wilson. McCarthy refused to continue because he had 4 stitches in his head due to the stiletto. Wilson was declared the winner by technical knockout. A riot ensued and Wilson's mother had to be dragged from the ring by a hair by a security guard. McCarthy returned to the ring, but only to calm the crowd. And Andy, as I said to Vanderpool on Twitter, I do have a sort of low-key story about this fight. About 20 years ago, me and my friend Big John were in Wolverhampton Town. And I was actually...
Big John Fury?
Not Big John Fury. We were in the...
Big John Fisher.
Well, yeah, might as well have been. Big John was a big guy. We were in the kebab house and I was actually at 2 o'clock in the morning. I was telling John this story about the woman jumping in with a stiletto. And a gentleman standing across the kebab house jumps in and says, "Whoa, that was my brother who was boxing that night. And the woman who jumped in the ring was my mom." And I thought to myself, all right, whatever. But there is a bit of credence to the story. Tony Wilson was, in fact, from Wolverhampton. So the chances are maybe, Andy, that this guy was indeed telling the truth. Like, so there you go.
There you go.
Yeah.
I'm trying to admit, I can remember seeing it, but it must have been on Saint and Greavesy because that was a Saturday. Saint and Greavesy was usually late morning.
Saturday morning. It was after the you kind of got like the
anyway,
chart show. You got the chart show in the morning, didn't you? Then you might have got a bit of a magazine show, and then Saint Greavesy for the football, over the BBC One for the fucking live results.
And you always got the highlights of the games in midweek and that, especially the European games and the British sides that were involved. But I'm sure I must have seen it on that because obviously it must have been on TV, that fight, because if you notice the wee kind of black and white thing in the corner, Steve,
yeah,
that used to come up on STV.
ITV, ITV and STV used to show a lot of fights back in those days, especially domestic ones.
And all.
But see that black and white tab that comes up at the top right hand corner of the screen? That used to be the indicator that was getting ready to go to commercial break.
Yes. That's
David
right.
Icke used to be on Grandstand. What a guy.
Yeah. There's Lynham. He was Irish, by the way, wasn't he? He's still alive, isn't he?
Lynham was, yeah.
Days line, am I?
Yeah.
Thought he was only pretending like that, Jerry Adams.
Chucky Arwell.
This week for the camp of Padre McCrory had been the Irish phrase Chucky Arla, which means our day has come.
That's a candidate, Steve, for the intro.
We're going to get those. We're going to get those 33 counties back.
On the zone. Let's hope the zone are here to see it.
Oh, amazing.
I mean, can you imagine it? I mean, the South carrying the handle. The South carrying the handle. What's happened with the immigrants? Just like, you must try to take back the North.
What are you talking about? Come and take us back. Nobody. I tell you what, right? If the Brits came and invaded in the morning, nobody come out and fight them. They'd be all too busy fucking smoking weed, playing PlayStation,
smoking spice.
Yeah, exactly. I had a nomination actually.
Yes, go ahead, Rob.
Fucking what's the guy's name? Is it Lionel Thompson?
Lonnie B.
Oh yes, he's good value. Him.
He's a what is he? A 68 pounder.
Yep.
Aye.
And he talked about his experience as a sparring partner for Batarbiev.
Oh, the soul got in my body.
Yeah. He said about his dad. He said he asked his dad, like, I'm going to spar Batarbiev, and he said all the fighters that he fought over the years, like his dad was like you can do it, like, and his dad was like, you don't want that. And he was like,
we don't need that.
Yeah, he's like, no, we don't need that. And he's like, what? So he went to the gym and he was like, no, fuck that. I'm gonna go. I spar Frotch, I spar these high level guys. Like, I fucking go to the gym, whatever, spar Batarbiev. Like, so he goes to the gym and someone else was to him was like, yeah, I don't know, this is going to be a short day, like just do what you can. And he was like, do what I can. So he said when he got hit with the first right hand that he felt like he left Earth, like his soul left his body.
He's a good storyteller, isn't he?
Oh, but it was fucking
Mark,
brilliant.
what do you want me to do? He goes, just do your best, son.
Yeah, just do my best. What the fuck does that mean? He said when
Survive, basically.
He said when he got hit with the first right hand, he felt like his soul was leaving his body. Like, but I can imagine, because you see that on fighters when Batarbiev hits him, like it's a different kind of fucking reaction. Like, isn't this reminds you of Curtis Stevens, Golovkin stuff? Like, but that was amazing the way he told that. Like, I only saw it for the first time this week, but I was cracking up laughing.
I can envisage that moment in what do you call it, in Snatch with Brad Pitt. When
the Golden Brown starts playing.
It's when he knocks out the guy in the boxing ring and he cuts to Jason Statham and everything just goes quiet and it goes, now we're fucked. It's like when he takes out a shot, it's like, now I'm fucked, by the way. Because that's what it is. You would fucking, the cunt has brick walls, man, for his jab. What the
I seen that a few weeks ago, Rob. Someone put it in the Nuthouse chat. He tells the story well.
Oh, it's brilliant. Yeah. No, and like, but listening to like Iceman Scully and all talking about Batarbiev as well, like he just keeps saying like he's different. Like, and I remember Scully was early on Kovalev, like back in the days. He was calling him to be like the main guy to come through, like, and dominate, like, and he's obviously working with Batarbiev, but some of the stuff he says about fucking sparring partners, like the sparring partners are all petrified, like they're like, imagine that, like, fuck's sake, he's a scary
like
bastard.
Remember, who was it? I remember somebody told a story about Golovkin sparring up at Big Bear and that, and they're having to put on fucking body protection because he's fucking snapping ribs and that with fucking left hooks to the body. Like, fucking going about me.
Do you know what? Sidebar, Golovkin doesn't get enough credit, by the way.
Eh?
Sidebar, I know we're on Bellew of the Week, but Golovkin doesn't get enough credit for how good he was, I don't think.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and his prime past his
George
his
Groves.
peak past him.
That's who it was. George Groves got his rib broken. Aye.
George Groves got his rib broken, but there was a great story actually. I remember, I can't remember who told it, but Alfredo Angulo was up sparring in Big Bear, and this was back in like 2012, 2011, when no one really knew who in America. You know, he had only moved over to Big Bear about 18 months. And Angulo came into the gym, and he tried to really put it on Golovkin, and he got an absolute. He got a serious beating. Like, he got about half an hour later, he was crawling out of the ring. You know, he is I can't remember. He is not being. I can't remember who said it.
The interesting one about Golovkin with the Mexican style. They all say it's to do with the fighters, but I remember one of his early Ellie Seckbach interviews, and he was talking about Mexican style, and he said that some of his Mexican friends brought him to a Christmas party, and he was dancing with the Mexican girls, and he was going the Mexican style. And I knew what the fuck he meant. It was nothing to do with the fucking fighting.
It's with the chicas.
Vida loca.
Scully, I think the interesting thing about Scully, he apparently looks after the sparring partners. He picks them up from the airport for Beterbiev. This is he sort of
He works with Mark Ramsey, mate. He works with Mark
That's
Ramsey.
right. That's right.
Picks him up from the airport, just plays the theme tune from Jaws all the way to the gym.
Gonna need a bigger boat, mate.
Gonna need a bigger head guard. Apparently, that lad from Manchester, Callum Simpson. Apparently, he's one of the only ones that managed to survive the whole hog of sparring Beterbiev. So much so that they invited him back after his first time. So like he apparently survived the experience, but yeah, there's been some odd stories about him. All right.
Imagine there's a story about one guy who survived the sparring. I'll fucking tell you what it's like sparring Beterbiev. Jesus Christ.
I'll never forget two things as long as I live with Beterbiev. One is sparring the shotgun jabs at the fucking at the wall, and two is I'm fucking spinning that bar, that weightlifting bar with one hand in a circular motion. I snapped my wrist if I tried that shit, man. These things must weigh about 50 pounds easy. Maybe even slightly like 50 pounds, sorry, probably 50 pounds, 50 kilos possible. I don't know how much they weigh, but fucking this guy was spinning it like a fucking toothpick, man.
I sent you one, Dominic, didn't I, earlier, whenever he was doing hitting the punch bag, and somebody put a message in the chat or something saying the rest of the gym reporting an active shooter in the building.
Yeah, it's scary. Like I sparred a couple of big punches, like, and luckily I was able to like ride shots and knock out cock clean with a lot of times. But a pro golfer hit me harder than anybody. He wasn't a boxer or whatever. He was messing about. He's having a spar. Hit me with a fucking shot. I felt he hit me so hard, it hit me in the chin, and I felt like an electric shock went out the fucking sole of my foot. Fucking absolute. No, I didn't go down, like, but he planted me with a shot. It was fucking, and I was like, if this fella ever decides to put on gloves, he's gonna fucking kill everyone because he's a fucking monster.
Just for sharing stories, I'll tell you my one. I remember getting hit by a left hook once. It was so hard, it wrung my ears. I actually even heard everybody at ringside who was actually watching the sparring session, because it was a round robin spar, right? And all I heard was going, "Oh," because it was a heavy shot, right? And I started tapping my jaw. I was like, "Fucking hell, that was serious, fuck!" And see, I took my mouth. I couldn't get my mouthpiece out, but see, when I took my mouthpiece out, I tried to then like clasp my mouth again. I couldn't fucking do it. I thought I broke my jaw, man. I obviously was stretching the ligaments in my jaw for about 3 or 4 days, just trying to loosen it off. I thought I had a broken jaw, man. Fucking never forget it.
Hardest I've ever been hit is best stiletto.
Wasn't in a fight, that one.
She told you
it was a fight of sorts.
It's a funny story, actually. It's a funny story. I'll save it for after. But what was I going to say there? It was I think it was about Beterbiev, something that's what was Andy talking about there about Beterbiev? Oh, I can't remember, Steve.
Come back to it if you recall it. Andy, any nomination?
Me, Dominic. He's doing fucking tails after the pod and he can't remember.
Just one for Ryan Garcia, mate, and one for our man, the debutant there in Poland last night for dropping. Dropping the body slam, but then dropping the elbow, and then obviously the bucket of ice coming in as well to try and knock him out. But yeah, I thought that was good banter as well.
That was a good one. Dominic, any nominations?
Just forgot what sport he was playing. Like
that was a good one.
He took it down the cobbles, mate. He took it to the hard road.
No nominations for me, Steve, this week.
Nothing from Dominic. Nothing from Oz. Anything from you, Rob?
No, just my man Lionel, and obviously Garcia for his antics. Like, and Oscar and Bernard as well. I'm fucking fed up. Bernard Hopkins is one of my favorite fighters. Oscar's up there as well. But I am fucking fed up with these two as Golden Boy. Like, how are they the fucking promotional face of any company in 2024? Fuck me, like.
They're more or less figureheads, though, isn't it? Eric Gomez is the guy that really runs the show there.
Yeah.
Although, as you said to me a few months ago, Steve, they've made the sort of ill-conceived decision to get rid of Robert Diaz, which can't be good for them. But
they seem to have rode it out, though, because the recent shows, to be fair, still have the same kind of quality. But in the long run, I wonder if that'll be a decision they'll rue.
Yeah. The thing I was going to say, actually, it was a few minutes ago, Rob was saying about being hit by that golfer. And, you know, what is it you said, Rob? You felt like electric shock down through your feet. But it reminded me of it reminded me of what Kevin Kelly, it was an interview with Nas, like one of these retrospectives on his career. It's about 10 years ago, and he was reminiscing about the Kevin Kelly fight, and he was, whoever Nas fought before the Kevin Kelly fight, Kevin Kelly was over in England watching it, and they got him on the apron after the fight, and he was sitting beside Nas on the apron.
And smoke his boots.
I got to smoke his boots, and Nas, the way Nas tells the story, and he was all, I didn't know what Kevin meant. I didn't know what it meant. And then he said, when Kevin Kelly decked him in that first round, he said, then I knew what he meant. I'm going to smoke your boots.
I just seen one there for John Fury, actually, for sticking up to AJ.
Oh, yes, that's right.
Hamed was talking about that earlier.
There's some meeting between Big John was embracing AJ like he was a son.
Good old John.
Son from another mother, eh?
Right, so let's go through them quickly then before we close out. We had Saint and Greavesy and the stiletto incident. We had Oscar and the bra, the titty committee. We also had Andy Mitchell. No flies on Mitchell. The lights going out. Unfortunately, the sound didn't go out on Tim and Tess. We had David Tua, Hall of Famer. We had the smell of Tyson Fury. We had the stench of corruption from Dill. We had Ryan, who knows what's going on there. Matty getting the news about Puerto Rico. Got Jared Anderson going on the run. The incident and the comment from Alonso. We had Charlie Parsons. We had the puff piece over at Boxing Scene. Ronnie, shout out with his t-shirt. Fight Hub going in with Rick Glazer. Save the date as well. And Kinosuke the Fighter. That's a great throwback name, isn't it, Andy? From them fighting over the weekend in Japan. 6'1" southpaw Kinosuke the Fighter at welterweight. I'm not sure if
who's a ninja, apparently.
A fucking sniper's dream anyway, by the sounds of it.
Right. Who are you going for, Andy?
I'm going to go for Garcia, mate. Ryan Garcia.
Multiple offences?
Multiple offences, mate, but obviously he's playing up to it a wee bit, but some of it's self-inflicted at the same time as well. And plus, his old man's getting... There's no allegations of racism for... What was it? Well, I'm not going to mention it in case it is classed as racist by a certain...
Oh, Henry was going on about the hair. Henry's hair or something.
I'll not get into that then, just in case it does offend anybody, but fucking... Yeah, it's just... You kind of saying to yourself, yeah, listen, mate, he better back up that shit now. But that's all I can say now. After all of this stuff and that, he's got to be backed up big time. So I'll go for Ryan Garcia.
King Roy, Super Roy, as he's known as now. Dominic, who are you going for?
I was tempted to go for Matty for going all the way to Puerto Rico to see Amanda. I know he didn't go all the way to Puerto Rico just to see Amanda Serrano, but no, I'll go for King Ray as well.
He fucking did.
2 for Roy. Rob, who are you going for?
It's got to be Garcia, but I will notice he gave one hilarious clapback throughout the fucking press conference because Bill Haney was going on a rant and he said, "Shut up, Bill, you sound like Don King right now."
Well, the hair's almost looking like it.
Oh, good stuff. Right, congratulations, Ryan Garcia. You are the Belly of the Week winner for episode 562. And that is where we shall leave it. Matty will be back, hopefully, if he gets back from Puerto Rico for episode 563. If we get a pile of likes, we might consider doing a post-fight pod on Friday after AJ-NGANNOU. If we don't, then we won't. We'll wait and see what happens, what comes in. Don't forget to like, subscribe, do all those beautiful things. Thanks to everyone who's been on tonight. Rapping Rob Kelly's been here. Dominic has ably deputised for Matthew, who will be in the hot seat next week. Andy's been here as well. I've been Steve. We'll catch you all again. Same time, same place next week. And bye for now.
We'll never forget.
I think that's good happening.
Go to Adam move!
We want to be honest, yeah?
Crying like a little bitch. I've never met a fucking swank that can fight me.
I fell asleep.
You're a fucking bum, you're a fucking asshole.
Rumpo fucking Steltskin.
But allegedly, Oscar Rivas has failed a test.
7-year reign. 7-year reign.
I will fucking smash fucking you.
I hope you fucking die.
Be safe.
I love boxing sounds, as simple as that.